we used to have candy bars, right? And then
Almond Joy.
they were like, well, what if we just like put this like organic looking fucking like packaging on it? It'd be like, ooh, right? And you're like, oh, it's healthy now. But there's like chocolate chips in this fucking thing.
Well, does it have improved ingredients?
No.
Does it have seed oils?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, everything does, man.
Didn't Brian Johnson or whatever his name is get into a fight with somebody because he said seed oils weren't that bad?
No,
And
I
then the
didn't
entire
see this.
internet like came
Checks
after
out.
him.
Wait, hold on. Is that something he actually believes, or I'm kind of intrigued by this because I was wondering if this
Yeah,
is just like another
is this a
fad.
new dogma?
It's like another fad, you know? It's like,
Probably everything we believe is apparently just like a lie on a long enough time horizon.
dude, I don't know.
That makes life so complicated.
I know.
I swear,
or
like,
simple.
Just when you think you're on
Or
the right
simple.
track.
we go through these phases where like there's one new villain in every phase. It's like
Yeah.
at one point it was carbs, and then now it's like the seed oils, and then it's gonna be something else. Sugar for a time.
I feel like with nutrition that will always.
but there's like always one.
Pretty
in the-
sure sugar is not good.
I don't know.
Oh,
dude.
I know there's some pro sugar people out there.
The Peters.
There's a pro sugar
Peters love sugar.
It's a pro
Twitter
sugar
Twitter corner. Yeah.
There's no way. Okay, sugar's probably fine in some context, but there's no way if you're just like sitting in front of your desk pounding sugar that's good for you.
I don't know.
This is
sounds
what I'm
like
talking about. Is that
Instant diabetes.
no? There's just like always something, and
The
it's
culprit shall never be found.
yeah. And then well, I think the answer is like so.
All I
obvious.
know is America's fat.
Eat whole foods.
The whole
It's that
world
simple.
is getting fatter.
It's because we're eating fake candy bars that are actually.
Are we
candy
going to
bars.
make America healthy again? And if so, how? I don't know if RFK's cut out for this.
The job's too big.
Did he get? Has he had his confirmation hearing yet? By the way, we're live. I rolled into it. So,
Oh, wow.
Almond Joy.
yeah, home enjoy kickoff. Does anyone? He hasn't had his confirmation hearing yet, right?
I,
We
mean,
would
I haven't
obviously
seen
see-
any clips of people
Yeah, we
trying
would-
to dunk on him
We
yet.
would
so.
most definitely. All right, guys, welcome to the Alfalfa Podcast. We're live, like we are every Wednesday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. So if you're checking us out on Twitter after the fact, or on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, come join the fun. Subscribe to the channel. All the links are at alfalfapod.com. And welcome to all the people here with us live. I see you guys.
forgot
Alan
to put
Bryce,
the-
what up?
forgot to turn
Liquidia.
the lights
we
on,
were
boys.
just talking about
we
you.
were just
Wow.
This is in the mix. Let's go.
Yeah.
Damn, it's been
See,
a while.
That's synchronicity right there.
Dude, hold on. Alan Bryce was like the first OG.
Yes, first OG Alfalfa
The
community
OSG.
member. There was no community. There was just Alan Bryce.
That's amazing.
Welcome, dude. Welcome.
Yeah.
I
Welcome.
still remember the reach out like, hey, guys. He just stepped into the Discord.
It's like, there's only 4 of you in here.
I had just set it up. I had just set it up, and he's like, cool pod. Like, he literally, first thing he said was credit to Alan. He was like, how can I help? Like, this is cool.
Yo, he had
how
he
can
had
I help?
experience in like production and stuff, so he
Yeah.
was actually very helpful.
It's like,
Yeah.
you guys need work. You need help.
Yeah, we've made so much progress since then.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of, but also not
Are
really.
you proud of us, Alan?
I feel like we could have a sign that's like it's been this many days since our last Techno Kings moment, and it's been a few days.
We do the podcast every 7 days.
I know, but it's like it's been this many weeks. Like
No, I'm with you. I like that.
yeah, we've been pretty good for a couple weeks.
That'd be
Yeah.
a good one to have around in the studio.
I like that.
Gonna need to make it a
been,
whiteboard so it's easily adjustable.
Yes.
I've been techno kicking hard on Magic Lines.
I
You
saw
have
you
been.
keep re-recording.
It took me 5 hours to like record this video,
That
and
is
finally on the fourth
so
iteration,
brutal.
I still fucked up the audio.
Why
I
don't you
had,
wear headphones while you do it so you can make sure you hear yourself? Or is that not foolproof?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. When I do that, it sounds like there's like a delay because there kind of is. But there was like an actual delay because for some reason there were 2 different mics running through it, and it created this mega echo. But I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm-
There's nothing worse than
Can't.
doing like a long voice note or video or something and having to redo it.
Yeah, you bring the same energy.
there is
Bring
there's
the same
something
energy,
there's
Gibbs.
something very wrong, very worse. It's doing it 3 more times and still
But-
screwing it up.
Silver
That's pretty
lining.
pathetic, dude.
I have
I gotta be
I have
honest,
ran
that's
into this
so
many
bad.
times as a person that was in your shoes doing whatever types of content, and it gets better.
Yeah,
End result gets better.
we're 3 years deep here. Maybe one day we'll
How
get
do you
it.
record? Well, we were speaking to the community earlier, and I wanted to give a shout out to the entire community because we got a thank you note in the studio today from Emma, aka Paradox, in the Discord, and she wrote us a quite lengthy thank you note. But I'll just mention a few lines. I don't know how to properly say thank you for the donations you gathered for me. Brings me to tears to even think about it. Just to know that they truly made the world of difference during a very dark time. Thank you. And she actually listed out a bunch of unexpected hurricane-related expenses. And as a reminder, she lived in North Carolina, and so Hurricane Helene put her whole town under 27 feet
Of water.
of water. So completely wiped it out. And the Alfalfa community came together, put some donations together along with a match.
Did very well.
Very well. And she mentioned it helped with gas for 2 cars, food, clothes, basic amenities and toiletries, hotel rooms, 2 hospital visits, 1 ambulance ride, car
Jesus
repairs,
Christ.
food and supplies for 3 pet rabbits, and unfortunately one of them did not make it.
Oh,
Moving costs, security deposit, and first month's rent at her new place in Kentucky.
wow.
So shout out to the listeners and everyone out there. Even if you just gave good thanks and good vibes out to her, yeah, I thought it was cool.
Talk about making a difference, man.
Dude, that's the most I've been impressed ever by our
Yes.
community. It's like, that's like a real sign of
Yeah.
community.
I shed a tear during that time in private.
Yeah.
I was
same.
like, damn, this is all worth it. This is amazing.
Yeah. So thanks, Emma, for letting us know, and we're glad you're in your new spot and on the new path.
And
And
thanks-
always here for you.
Thanks everyone for showing
Thanks,
up
everyone.
in
Yeah.
the time of need for one of
Yeah.
our core members.
Yeah. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
What are you drinking
Cheers
there,
to
Steven?
Emma. New chapter.
Salud.
This is a
Cheers, buddy.
Trappist Rochefort.
Getting a good buzz going.
It's a
Steve-O?
10. I am pretty buzzed.
What is that,
already,
like
actually.
9%?
That's a good question. What is it?
It's a Belgian.
11%. That's
Wow.
Wow.
Yes.
Armand, you have a bottle of wine for
I've-
yourself
I
and
guess.
a glass of hard something.
I'll be fine.
That bottle of wine is that bottle of wine's near finished. Was that all your damage?
No, that was Nick's team here.
Oh, nice.
I'm
Did some
pretty
damage.
sure. Yeah,
Eric, you got
but
the
I do have
trusty
a pretty big old fashioned in front
salty
of me.
cruise.
I got a tequila with a couple beers backing,
Okay.
as usual.
Did you take your Zbiotics?
Yes,
You did.
I did.
Oh, good. good.
Finally.
All right. Well, let's give them a shout out. Go to zbiotics.com/alfalfa and get 15% off the pre-alcohol Zbiotics. Zbiotics you take before you start drinking. So we started recording about 10 minutes ago. I took mine about an hour and a half ago. And the plan is it's going to make sure that these drinks I'm going to have here over this broadcast are not going to make me feel like shit in the morning. So it's a probiotic that takes care of the toxin that things like tequila and Stephen's Trappist Rochefort create in your body. Acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde.
Oh, thank you. Call out. It's that, not dehydration, that makes you feel like crap in the morning. So you can take all the electrolytes and liquid IVs that you want, but only Zbiotics is going to help take care of that nasty toxin for you. So yeah, check it out. Try it if you haven't. It's a good gift if you've already tried it. I know a lot of you guys already have. Go to zbiotics.com/alfalfa. Make sure to use the code alfalfa at checkout. Give the pod a shout and let Zbiotics know that, yeah, we support them. So thanks, guys, for the sponsor on the pod. Steven.
Thank you, Nick. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Steven, can you give us an update on your guru status?
Yes, Magic Lines has hit 107
Wow.
members. Yes.
Wow.
Should I
Triple
place
digit guru
Should
status.
I place a bet on my prediction?
What was
that
your
I had?
prediction?
Well, I said you would get to 200 before you know it, but that's like very.
Oh, that sounds very.
That's
know.
not a smart
Yeah,
goal,
that's
sir.
what I'm saying. So, well, hey, hold on a second. I said that, and you highly doubted it.
Okay, so that is like it's just axiomatically correct. Of course, I will get to 200 before I know it, unless like I am literally watching the number tick
Man,
up
can't even take a compliment.
in real time.
Thank you so much. Thank you
This is
so
axiomatically incorrect.
He found an issue with the compliment.
No,
Look, my point is, never
Just
mind.
saying.
No bet will be placed.
you need to have an invalidation on your trades.
God, that is so perfect.
So Magic Lines of you.
It's so us.
I'm pretty sure the link is in the description. Did I do my job?
Yeah.
Magiclines.xyz/alfalfa, possibly /. Steven and I still have not confirmed if it's a / or /.
I wish you guys would just say slash.
Slash.
Yeah, people know.
It's in the description
It's
on the
a
YouTube.
//
Somewhere out there, somebody puts the wrong slash in and it doesn't work, and they're just like, "Oh, I don't know what to do."
Contact
Just like,
support.
Can't figure it out.
Steven at gmail.com. What is your support system right now?
Don't even.
I don't know. The feedback part of your Discord is pretty hot these days. Pretty hot. Yeah, you should check the inbox. No, I'm kidding. But make sure to use.
You said that. I was like,
I know
really?
you're having an inner freak out. I was just joking.
Are you joking?
Make sure to use Alfalfa 75 at checkout. Get some discounts off the
That's
monthly.
good one.
All right, boys. Happy MLK Junior Week and happy new President Week if you celebrate.
For those who celebrate.
For those who celebrate.
Always. MLK is a legend.
He is. There was a nice little 5K fun run.
You know, I learned a
Around,
lot
my
about
neighborhood?
MLK through one of Robert Greene's books.
Is that
I
the
believe it was.
law,
It was
48 Laws of Power?
No, it was the Laws of Human Nature. He talks about him a lot. And respect the guy a lot.
Is there any? Is he?
Fascinating figure.
Is he like fully devoid of any scandals?
No. What?
Definitely not.
Oh God, no.
He's like a womanizer or
Oh
something.
man, he's got some factoids in the closet there.
Yeah.
I won't sully his legacy like this, but you can DYOR on that one.
Yeah, we can talk about it in the tinfoil channel.
Not even tinfoil.
Why is the table all the way on your guys' side? There.
Armand
we
needs
need access.
Okay.
Access.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about the inauguration a little bit. Maybe not ceremonies, but just curious, just initial reactions to our newly elected and appointed king.
The
2.0.
golden age.
The golden
is
age.
Here.
That's your initial.
That's his. That's what he called it. The golden age is here. I did actually end up watching the whole thing. The main.
The whole thing you did?
No, not the 9-hour thing. Well, he started at like 7 a.m. and went until an after party.
You watched his speech.
I watched
the
the
20-minute speech.
Yeah, it's about 35-minute inauguration speech. Not the one in the stadium, the one, addressing the politicians.
Everybody applauds and stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of observations, but I was watching it with my wife, Erica, and she was just like, she's not a Trump fan, but yet at the same time she said, like, why aren't Biden and Kamala clapping? This is so awkward. Like, and why do they have to be there? And I was like, I was thinking about it to myself. I'm like, this is like losing the Champions League final and having to sit there
For the
and
trophy
watch
presentation?
the trophy presentation.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Brutal.
Awful.
I like this part.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot though. Like
Yeah.
the passing of the torch, you lost, and Kamala made sure not to move her face. It was frozen the whole time. But at one point, she did stand up, by the way, and clap. Like
Yeah, you got to clap for him.
they didn't clap for
Like
him.
a real clap
At
or like
all.
a Nancy Pelosi?
No,
clap?
they clapped for him.
Yeah. This guy gets it.
Okay, this is what it was. It just came to me. He said this was so impressive to me because if you guys recall, Trump basically threatened Hamas and said, if you don't return the hostages before I am back, the Middle East, like I will basically blow it up. There will be hell to pay. It was something about hell and
Paying it.
And this was like maybe 2 weeks ago. Do you recall?
It was not that long ago. It
was
did
not that long ago.
It did not make Joe Biden look good.
So then he says, and this is what everybody stood up and clapped for. It was the only time I recall everybody standing up and clapping. He said, and I'd like to share that as of yesterday, the hostages, the day before I took office, because he said, if they're not freed by the day I take office, hell to pay. The day before I took office, the hostages have been freed. And both Kamala and Joe couldn't help it and stood up and clapped. And I think they did so obviously because this is about the hostages, not about Trump's accomplishment.
That's because they don't want to look like huge assholes.
Right.
And it's also the day before, so maybe they get the credit.
So yeah, it was very interesting. I personally liked the speech. I thought that it was clear, strong, concise, like with his points. The speech writing was good. Obviously, people are going to disagree with like the points of the various matters that he brought up, but it was an interesting thing to watch for sure.
Yeah,
What
I like
did you
the
guys?
whole peaceful
did you guys
transfer of power. You got Biden and Kamala there, Barry O and Clinton were there. You know, just being present for it, acknowledging it. You took
George
a
is
massive
chuckling
L.
in the back.
Yeah, George.
George looked like he took some edibles.
Yeah,
man.
George took an
He was
edible.
like-
Did you see the meme where like Trump brings up, I'm going to release the files for JFK and Epstein, and then doesn't mention 9/11, and George goes, bump, bump, bump. He's just like,
Whoops.
not gonna put me out.
Yeah. But I like that they're present
Yeah.
for that. It feels good, and also respect to them. And Trump didn't hold back in his inauguration speech about how much he said they like drove America into the ground. Like he didn't hold up 1 inch, and the guy's sitting within touching distance.
It was
of him.
awkward.
Yeah,
fine.
but you
You
got to
didn't hear
sit there
anything.
and take it.
Take
Be
it.
like, this is
Take it.
this is the people.
Fine, he didn't hear anything.
It's awkward. It's like raising the trophy in the face of the other team.
Another initial reaction I had just for the first day in general was like, whoa, there's a president. Like, there's like a president working again. Like the guy did
Yes.
multiple press conferences, some multi-hour press conferences. You know, you could call the executive actions that he did, you know, work, but like he's doing stuff. He's talking. He's letting you ask him questions. I think every day he's had some kind of press conference.
Weird, man.
The
Yeah.
energy cannot be denied.
So it's nice, you know, even if you don't
No
agree with his
break.
policies.
He pushed for like 90 days through the campaign, didn't take a day off, and then imagine that was just the warm up.
It's the power of McDonald's and Coca-Cola.
12 Cokes a day or something?
Diet Coke, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The other thing was that, I mean, I don't know if you guys could like bring yourself back to 2017, but there was massive protests around the globe
Yeah.
first time around. I think there was like a women's march on his inauguration day or around there. There was like 4 million people that showed up for it. And there wasn't that at all. Like I didn't see any,
There was some. Not
Some.
nearly in the level.
but no, we're not talking
Yeah.
millions of people in the
Not
United
like
States.
a global, call to action to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think Michael Schellenberger had a take around this that he was like, not only did he beat them politically, but he beat them morally. And I didn't read his full article on it, but I started thinking about it, and I was like, man, he kind of beat him at their own game. You know, like he's not trying to go for diversity, you know, explicitly, but he's brought diversity to his cabinet. Like, I didn't know that Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, he's gay. He's got a husband.
Homosexual, yeah.
He's gay. He's got a husband, and they raised 2 kids.
You didn't know that, Nick?
I didn't know that.
We all knew that.
But not once was it. I didn't know it because not once was it mentioned.
No, it was never brought up because, like, why does that qualify? you
Exactly.
to be Treasury
Exactly, and
Secretary?
he's the like highest ranking, you know, homosexual official in the United States ever. And I was like, man, he's beating at their own game. You know, for as much as he's been called a dictator, he's focused on restoring free speech. You know, accountability on government spending.
Wants to be peaceful. He said,
Yeah.
I don't want to start any new wars. That got a lot of claps.
One flag policy.
What's that mean?
It means like all government buildings can only have like one flag, I guess, and it's the American flag.
Okay,
Hmm.
not high on my backlog of things to get
He has
done.
all
but-
these like things like the Gulf of America where you're like, that wasn't really on my priority list, but like I don't know if I can object to that.
I was
really.
wondering if that one was like a end around, like all the laws say you can't drill in the Gulf of Mexico, but now that it's the Gulf of America,
Oh,
does
that would be some 4D chess. Right
yeah,
there.
is that really 4D chess? It's like, well, we can
I like
drill in the
that.
Gulf of America.
I mean, how about as far as like maybe speaking to some controversy? He said the government will only recognize 2 genders. That was pretty big.
Yeah, the theme of his speech was like a revolution of common sense.
I didn't expect, but I didn't expect something quite like that. Like I expected him to say, like, from now on, there will be no biological males in the girls' locker room. Like I think the majority of the country was like, yes, please. That's common sense. But for him to say there are only 2 genders, male and female, I'm sure pissed off a lot of people.
That was an executive order, right?
Yeah.
Pretty intense.
That
Don't
was
know-
that was definitely controversial.
It was an executive order, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
There was one, I think probably the one that would offend the T's definitely would be the T's are no longer allowed in the military. And they would be
I didn't see that
medically discharged, apparently.
Yep, and then all the DEI stuff, they all got basically laid off.
Or just like those policies are gone
Not just the policies, all the people in those departments are gone
Oh.
as of like
immediately.
this week.
It's
They're
kind of like
basically
nuked all the
out.
DEI departments,
Yeah,
basically.
the
right?
departments are closed. The people are laid off.
I'm curious what version of Trump we're gonna get, because there's definitely like, and even if you think about the Trump camps, there's like one who just wants like these different policies, like a different direction going forward. I want this policy going forward, this policy going forward. But then there's another part that like wants retribution, right? They want to go after Nancy, like just name the checklist, the January 6th committee, the Nancy Pelosi, like everyone who maimed them in the past.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
and
do
I
you
hope
think
he-
that's reality, or is that just like something that feels true?
it feels like that's what they want, but I don't think he's gonna do that as much.
I mean, he didn't really do it last time.
Well, there was no retribution, in terms of
Hillary-
like people were saying, "Oh, you weaponized the law against us. Like you should go after those
he
people."
Said, like lock her up like a million times, and then was just basically like, meh.
That's true. He didn't really necessarily go after her.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like Trump has always seemed like the kind of guy where like you can literally just like spit on his face, but if you the next day you tell everybody like he's tall and handsome and rich and you like him,
Yeah.
he's like, I love you too, and then it's just like forgets
Yeah.
about it.
How do you guys feel about our technocracy chat? Like we're trading the tyranny of government for the tyranny of technocracy after about, I don't know, 2 or 3 days.
It's a good trade.
Well, can I add a layer to that
Yeah.
question? Just, I think what's most interesting, especially like maybe what we can bring in terms of a discussion to people is like, yeah, if everyone can just read about what has happened, but like think back to how you felt when Joe Biden became president, and think back to how you felt when Donald Trump became president for the first time. How do you feel this time? What's different? Like, what is your overall feeling? Because this is very much a feeling time and a feeling question. Is like there's a new
That's
there's
a good
new
question.
power. We can analyze a lot of things, but this is a feeling thing.
Kind of like first one was a little bit of relief. Like can we just calm down? I don't want to hear about the president every like 3 hours doing something. A little caretaker government, just kind of like keep it going. Don't fuck it up.
You're talking about when Joe Biden.
Joe
became-
Biden, yeah. Kind of like a little bit of relief, calmness. And then now there's like a little bit of excitement and optimism, I think is probably the overriding of what could be done. I think that's the overriding feeling.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Why do you feel optimistic and excited?
Well, because I think Nick nailed it. It's like before it was like, let's get back to a status quo. Let's get back to a normalcy. But that doesn't inherently mean like, let's try to advance and like
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
it better. Now it seems like,
It's a very action oriented.
Yeah, it's like we
it's
have a-
almost like they couldn't wait to just fucking start, right? Like the amount of action and movement and people doing things.
It's very, it is,
tornado.
it's
a
much more
tornado, yeah.
professional, right? Because he was like, on November 6, 2016, was like, oh shit, I won.
Mm-hmm.
And people who had just, put his name down 30 days prior were in his Oval Office serving him. I think his chief of staff was just like 60 to 90 days prior to like serving as chief of staff was like, this guy's an idiot. So like there was just so much going on. He probably didn't even know what he actually wanted to do, didn't know how to get things done. And maybe some of these executive orders you could see they're phrased, a little more shrewdly to make sure that they will withstand some, legal scrutiny. Like remember, like within a few days, he's like, we're gonna try this Muslim ban. If you're on a flight from Iraq right now, when you arrive, you're not allowed in. And it was like, what are you doing? It was like knocked down in the courts within days, and it just was like so
a lot of
unorganized,
irrational, reactive behavior.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Trying to create the impact and legacy without the tools, without the experience, without the knowledge. I mean, I think everyone, even like Dave Chappelle on SNL was like, hey man, like it sounded like he wasn't the biggest fan, but he was just like, dude, we're optimistic. Like, just do better this time. Like, you could sense even with Chappelle, he was like, I've turned toward believing that you can do something, you know, in his monologue, but like, do it. Like, we're all excited to see you do it. Do better this time and do it. And I think that's where even people with TDS like sit. It's like, okay, I have TDS, but if you make my life better, if you make this country safer, if you don't start new wars, if you reduce inflation, if you make me richer, I will probably say you weren't so bad. And one thing that I want to call out is Travis DC from the community. So this is an American national who lives abroad. I think I want to say, Travis, you live in like Denmark.
I was going to say Denmark too.
I'm pulling it out of my.
Get fucked, Denmark. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Jesus Christ.
We're taking Greenland. I mean, I'm not taking it. No, I have nothing against the Danish people.
Oh my God!
No,
This
it's just funny. No,
escalated quickly.
sorry. That came out too hot. That came out too hot. My whole Twitter feed's just been like all these random people I didn't know were Danish, just like complaining about writing like monologues on Denmark, and I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't know this was like such a thing. Sorry. I totally just
No, not at all.
came in hot to that.
The Danes are very cool people. I've been to Denmark. I'm a big fan. And so he lives maybe there, maybe somewhere else. Could be Liechtenstein.
One of the Nordics.
Probably not.
Yeah, no, I
Liechtenstein.
think it's Denmark. So my point is, he has been out of the country, I think, for, he might have said today, like a couple decades or something. Or no, he said, he said, has anybody been going to whitehouse.gov, I think is the URL, and watching the video on repeat? Anybody else?
There's a video.
And then I responded, why, Travis? Is it giving you a patriotism boner? And he was like, yeah, it is. I haven't felt this proud of being an American in decades. And I thought about it a lot today. And I secretly, when I watched the video, I secretly felt really good too. But it's still to the point, even with this new era, even with the majority of people voting for this person, that it still doesn't feel safe to say, I feel really good and feel really excited. I think that's how I currently feel. I feel really good. I feel really excited. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm almost like afraid to say it still. It still doesn't feel safe to say it because it brings so much hate in your direction to feel that way. I'm not saying that this person is the savior of humanity. I'm saying that everything that's coming forward as a result of this person being in power appears to be more positive than what we previously had. And for these reasons and many other reasons, I'm optimistic. I watched that video, and the sense of America that I get. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I did.
It's fucking
It was
good.
It's
good.
Yeah, and it's weird because like patriotism was looked at in a negative light for the last
Absolutely.
4 years or more or something.
That was viewed as like racist.
Yeah.
Like, to feel proud of being American was like, yeah, basically racist. Like, you're not being inclusive, you're not being sensitive, you're not like really aligned with the new America ideal, which is actually the anti-America ideal. I don't want to be anti-American. I want to be for America. And that's another thing that I think this administration is bringing is America first. America first. I don't think these are terrible things. And I think that many nations go through these things. I'm reminded of like, you know, so many nations at times when they have some sort of external force taking control of their economics, like Iran in the 50s. Why did the coup happen? Because the prime minister of Iran came and said, we're going to be Iran first. The oil is first ours. We're going to take care of our people. Then we're going to sell it for a fair price. The previous Shah was selling it for pennies on the dollar to England and the UK and the United States.
and we
He came
took
in
that
and said,
personally.
we're not going to do that. So what happened? The CIA jackals came in and took over. But the point is that brought a lot of pride to the Iranian people to hear somebody say, hey, we're going to be like people first. And I think every country wants to hear that we're going to put the people first.
Check this out.
Not the globalist cabal, Armand. I don't like that.
While you were talking about pride in America, I just looked at Google Trends for purchasing the American flag. Massive spike on January 20th. Massive.
What a Nick thing to check. That is so amazing.
Should we
I would've
sell
never even
these?
thought to check such a thing.
Of course you sell these.
No, we don't sell them, but maybe we should.
Ecom business right now.
Hey, could be a 4-year trend where people are more prideful to fly the American flag outside their house.
Yeah.
I used to see that in my neighborhood a lot. Most people just keep the American flag.
By the way, we
outside the
may
house.
eat our words. I may eat my words. I may realize this was all a mistake.
I
The
feel like
guy's
that's
racist.
your
He's
hesitancy
gonna,
more
yeah,
than
of course
getting
that
hit.
is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's gonna just start rounding up all the fucking Mexican kids and separating them from their parents, and this is gonna be a tragedy. Of course, in the back of my mind, I worry about that. My wife is Mexican. Like, I feel all the sides of this all the time, and it's challenging, but at the same time, I'm hopeful.
I agree. And ultimately they have to deliver, right? Like there was like a feeling of optimism and hope when Obama won the election.
That was the theme of the campaign.
Yeah.
Hope.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a disappointment.
Right, and you just got to deliver at the end of the day. You won the election, but that's only like step one. Now go make America better, really.
Yeah, we shall see.
Druckenmiller was one of the people who was hopeful. He was on CNBC, and he mentioned that we are going from the most anti-business administration to the opposite. Said he talks to a lot of CEOs on the ground, and they are quote unquote giddy. I'm curious, is like anything kind of came to mind for you two, Eric and Steven, about any of the policies or maybe just the vibe in terms of America being open for business?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that. Like everybody I listen to, read is sort of unanimously like, this is a good thing. And we were faced with this like kind of vision, right? Which is like a choice between, it basically became a choice between like government can like make your life better versus like innovation and the market like makes your life better. And like I think everybody here like believes that the government like doesn't make anybody's life better like overall, maybe pockets of it, but like overall like it doesn't create enduring value. So like I'm happy we went in that direction. I know things are going to be a little bit more corporatist now. Sure, that can swing too far. I get it, but like the value is going to be driven from like taking the shackles off like the market. And it feels good to know that like Druck and like everybody else I listen to who's like kind of like a gigabrain on this stuff is like, yes, things are going to get much, much, much better now. Now, a lot of them think in the short run there's going to be some turbulence, and like I kind of agree with that. But over the span of like 4 years, or maybe if this carries out like another 8 years, and I'm like really hopeful to see what happens.
Let me ask you this: like, Steven, you tend to play the role of the contrarian, right? When like everybody's on one side.
The disagreeable one?
Yeah, the disagreeable one, as you've been deemed by one listener.
Shout out, Laura.
Amy, I believe.
Okay, sorry.
But
Fucking Amy.
I guess what I'm asking is, if you were to like play devil's advocate and like be contrarian on this, it would only be, if I'm understanding you the way I think I do, it would be like only if the consensus got like so far coordinated to think that like this is going to be just like so beneficial and markets priced all that in right away, that's when you would become maybe contrarian. But right now you're thinking like, oh no, this is actually just like a net positive.
I mean, like I'm kind of like lukewarm in the short term. I'm just like zooming out 4 years. I think markets have already priced in a lot of good stuff, which is why it's a little iffy right
It kind
now.
of like it kind of like priced it in, and then it like retraced all of that price in.
and they've kind of come back, but it's like, is this just like us peeking over the edge for a bit? Like I don't know, but like I'm trying not to worry too much about like the short term roadblocks. I think like over a 4 year span, like I think everything is like much, much, much higher if you can just stay in the game, and I feel good about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like businesses have a little more agency, specifically in some of these like newer categories. You know, like AI is one, crypto could be another. Even though I don't think it's that big a part of the economy, but mostly AI. Like you can try things, and
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like any sort of like guillotine hovering over maybe your business, Nick? Like tariffs and like imports.
Sword of Damocles, if you will.
yeah,
Sort of Damocles, exactly.
Yeah, you know, we talked about this on a few pods ago, and I think maybe one of you guys sent me an article about the relationship between tariffs and the U.S. dollar.
I think it was me.
Yeah, and I think it
Sounds like
was. And so I didn't know it at the time, but when those first round of tariffs came, like I think it was like 20-25%, the U.S. dollar was going up. And I just saw it happening and didn't relate the two. I didn't even know they were related. And I was like, man, we're getting these goods for cheaper now because we're buying in the local currency in RMB. So we have to spend less US dollars to buy the products. So they kind of balance each other out. And I don't know if you've seen the dollar in the last, I know you've seen it, Stephen. If you've seen the dollar in the last like 60 days, it's kind of gone up.
It's been strengthening, yeah.
And it's been strengthening against the yuan. So part of me is not as worried as I originally was because I think the currency will balance it out.
Sort of the net effect would be neutral.
At least muted,
Yeah.
right? But things could escalate. I mean, he's talking about ratcheting it up to like 60% over X period of time. But I think in the end, Trump wants a grand deal. He could make one, right? He could put a list of 20 things he wants, and on the other side, China would have one thing. He could be like, you know what? We want TikTok to sell. We want, I don't know if China would go for this, but like we want our companies to be able to access your market. He might have a laundry list. We want you to stop producing fentanyl. We want these 17 things. And Xi will come to him and be like, cool, we want Taiwan. And he could make this grand deal. I don't know if those will be the terms, but I think that will be on the table. He said in his first like 100 days, he wants to go visit Xi in China. He invited him to the inauguration. I think he's trying to set himself up for some kind of deal, if it's not a trade deal, like a broader one. So anyway,
Do you think the market would accept that deal favorably? Just like in maybe in the sense that it takes like war off the table, perhaps? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know how the semiconductor industry would respond to that, but maybe, right? You kind of de-risk. I mean, you could also argue that in previous trade deals, China is necessarily not following like what they agreed to. So could be both sides. But I think, you know, a deal like that would take time. And if there's hope for one, could mute some risk potentially. But yeah, I mean, we're keeping a close eye on, you know, tariffs, and we have our backup plans in place and keeping an eye on the dollar, see what it does to our business.
what are the backup plans? Reshipping?
No, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
No. You got to look in.
Can't say you're doing it on a podcast.
No, I mean the biggest one is like if you're a big enough customer of your factories, you'd be like you need to go set up in Vietnam, or you need to set up in Indonesia, or you need to set up in Malaysia, and we kind of have those like some are handshake agreements, some are you know written in paper for our biggest suppliers.
I mean, there's pretty good suppliers in those countries already, right? Why ask the existing ones to move? It's not worthwhile looking.
You know, when you build up a relationship with a supplier, you get benefits, right? It's like, I need you to work extra hard for this, or we want to change something about it. You're gonna have to buy $20,000 worth of machinery, but like, you know, we're gonna keep buying from you, so like, don't charge us for it. Terms, like we talked about before we started recording. There's a lot of benefits from it. They work hard for you because you're a third of their livelihood.
So it'd be better to have them go open up shop than to start a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And the good news is that there's like an industry structure there, right? Vietnam has grown tremendously in the last 8 years because of Trump. And yeah, there's the infrastructure there for someone to go and buy a building and set up shop.
Do you still believe in the idea, or maybe still believe is too bold, but like, do you believe in the idea of like reshoring or onshoring as like logical outcome of tariffs, or
Yeah, I don't. I mean, if we believe in this new correlation that we talked about, like where tariffs increase the dollar, it makes it harder for U.S. manufacturers to actually make goods and sell them outside the country. If they're selling domestically, sure. I don't think by any means like hardcore manufacturing is coming back. Maybe there's a new manufacturing sector, like a new defense sector that could come up with a more efficient way of doing things. But depends on the category you're selling. Like in some of our categories, like, is it really worth paying twice as much? You know, and you don't really get the benefits that you think. You'd be like, oh, if I have a U.S. manufacturer, the lead time for my product will be shorter, which means I can hold less inventory, which means I need less operating capital.
That's not true.
No, not necessarily. You don't understand, like, in order for the U.S. to make it comparable to China, you don't need like 3 massive manufacturers to come in, like an auto manufacturer and a data center manufacturer, whatever. You need 10,000 miniature factories. Like when you go to China, there is like 100,000 factories that make every single component of every single good you see in this studio and everything you see in your house. And there's multiple of them. Here's one example. Like we went to one U.S. manufacturer and we're like, hey, you're like a 8-hour drive from our fulfillment center. Like you can make this super fast and be good. And we're like, great, this will work out. And I was like, cool. Like, yeah, we put them in these bags. So you need to get these bags. He's like, ooh, bag supplier. That's going to be like not twice as much as you make in China, but 4 times as much. And they don't really have the output that they do in China. So actually that's going to be like the cog in the wheel. So it's more than just the cost. It's about the efficiency and the precision at which they can do things and how many, factories you can compete against each other.
It would require a revolution in the country of like just sprouting manufacturing at a level to create the same thing that has happened in China, where you have everyone taking care of little pieces of the puzzle, because otherwise one factory sprouting up that can take care of a piece of the puzzle is not going to solve it for you.
No, not at all. I mean, the part of China is that there's so much talent there that understands how to do it.
You remember I did e-commerce years ago, but like the box for it was made down the, two cities down.
Exactly.
And they would take the planners and bring them over to that place, and then they would box them, and they were coordinated.
And they all know each other,
They all
too.
know each other, yeah.
Like we went, one of our factors took us to like a KTV, like what's it? What do you call it when you sing, drink? Karaoke. I was like, I fucking hate karaoke, by the way.
He's such an algo.
I fucking hate karaoke.
For this?
What do you call it? Yes, fun.
But he loves karaoke. He sings like the nationalist China songs and we'll sing whatever. But anyway, he brought he brought like 6 or 7 other people. Were like, who are these people? They're like, well, they're like all the little components you make. These are the factory owners of the people who like send me the raw materials or the packaging or the machinery that we use. And I was like, oh, cool. It was nice to meet them.
So help me understand it better, just so I'm clear. I guess the logical outcome, as I understand it now, is that manufacturing still happens in China. It doesn't get outsourced, and not even to Vietnam or the Philippines or something. It stays in China, and the consumer just swallows the 25% tariff as like a
it depends on your price elasticity, right? Like you either have corporate earnings go down or you have consumers paying more. It's a consumption tax, essentially. So, like I said, I still don't necessarily agree with it. It's probably a great bargaining chip, to use in the long run, but in the short run. But I don't like it. And I got to say, the rebranding of the External Revenue Service is just, it's kind of brilliant from a marketer's perspective. He's like, we're firing up the External Revenue Service.
Oh, wow.
As if the money that they're collecting comes from foreign companies. No, it comes from U.S. companies.
Though. Come on, the External Revenue.
I know. I was
Service.
like, God damn it, you got me on that one.
Good.
You got
great
me.
branding.
That was the first time I ever heard that, actually.
It's
and I was like, wow, that's good.
So Customs and Borders, whatever that department is, they're the ones who collect the tariffs. But he's like, trying to reframe it in everyone's minds. No, we're going to collect from all these Chinese companies.
I saw fake news probably on Twitter today that, you know, it was one of those like whatever accounts being like, new scoop, Trump is looking at, you know, banning, like basically like no more federal income tax. And like this is the type of stuff people are talking about,
God,
thinking about.
you imagine the
For a little while
inflation?
ago.
Everyone just make 50% more money. Like the inflation would just light on fire.
Who is the
Very,
president
it's very
famous? Who is
MMT
the
thing of
Yeah.
you?
Who is the president famous for tariffs? McKinley?
I don't
Who
know.
is it? That Trump is like kind of standing on
I
the
think
shoulders of.
McKinley is.
You
the
go back
one.
like 100.
Yeah, I mean, he's going back to that time and saying like, look, there's
Holy
a proven model
smoot.
here, and this is why it works and how it works.
Yeah,
and
we didn't
all-
have 400
many of the
government agencies
economists
then.
are telling him he's wrong, and this is going to be very telling. Actually, this is a big part of the whole economic game plan, and so how this plays out is huge, and it's vastly different than the first time around, which he made the market go crazy the first time.
He's going to have to
So,
jack it up to like 100% tariffs. I'm fucked in that scenario.
yeah, I mean that I
you'll
don't
be
know.
fine.
I would be like,
You'll be fine.
yeah,
You got backup plans.
You'll be fine.
backup plans.
Sure.
Plans are key.
You'll
No.
be fine.
So-
People are still gonna buy stuff.
No, we would work it out. And for a year or two, it'd be
America
awesome.
needs time to be able to get to the point where, like, I understand the tariff thing, but like America needs time to like catch up on a manufacturing.
Yeah, I
level.
just think they're focusing on
just
these
not
like
gonna
get
happen
3
that
big
quickly.
manufacturers and no, like create a program that like starts up 10,000
That-
kind of mom and pop
yes.
things, and maybe you do industry
that.
specific at a time, like
Yeah,
and
well, that's why
the
China
network is what.
dominates for
Yeah.
that reason.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like little cogs of the
Dude,
machine.
my favorite thing about tariff, I don't have a strong opinion on tariffs. Like, I used to be like very anti-tariff, but I've really come around to it. I can see the pluses and the minuses. But like my favorite thing about tariffs to me is that like every mega lefty on my Twitter feed is suddenly like a disciple of Milton Friedman. Right? They're just like, did you know that tariffs like increase the costs on everything? And it's like they suddenly found this
Do
like
they see the
libertarian
irony?
economic. It's
No.
so funny.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
just
fair
how like
enough.
it's just how like 2 weeks ago everybody on the left was criticizing like Elon Musk for being like too pro-Israel and like now he's like a Nazi. And
What
there's
the-
just like no.
I don't know that you
There's
intended that to
no-
be.
There's no continuity
Oh my
between
I don't
the
know if
two
that was
things.
intended to be a segue, but I had a question.
No,
about the
we
tariffs.
decided we didn't want to talk about
Okay.
it, but it was just
So the
funny.
tariff thing, like I was wondering, like how much of a role do they play now, even before Trump's plans? Like, is that something that
Well,
you guys?
his original tariffs are still there, right? Like
So-
Biden did nothing to change them. He
so
just
that's
left
something
them.
that you're currently managing around
Currently
already.
paying. Yeah,
Okay.
and all's good. All's
Okay.
good. All right, let's stop talking about tariffs. For
Yeah.
most people, it's probably extremely boring.
yeah.
Um,
That was a little CNBC.
let's talk about Trump coin.
Oh yes.
Can we play the clip just real quick? There's a clip there. I think I fired it up.
Yeah, let's demonetize this video.
Yeah, why not?
What clip am I looking for?
Not one about a Trump on Trump coin. This one.
I think it's that. Yeah.
This one. Start it from the beginning and leave the whole tweet up.
benefited. I don't know where
Okay, ready?
Yeah, play it.
it is. I don't know much about it other than I launched it. I heard it was very successful. I haven't checked it. Where is it today?
You made a lot of money, sir.
How much?
Several $billion, it seems like, in the last several days.
Several billion? That's peanuts for these guys.
All right, cut it there. I mean,
First of all, bullshit.
no, but like
He
masterful
knows.
deflection.
Okay,
knows
so
what's going
the
on.
thing everybody overlooked in that statement was I launched it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're going to jail, brother. No.
But people were like, he said, I don't know much about it. Literally the next 3 words were, I launched it.
Yeah.
And then the market realized that very quickly and was like, oh, wait, this is probably good.
And like, I think it was like early December. So that's what, 40 days ago. The Hawk Tour girl does the same thing, and it's like got to be this offshore foundation with some trustee, which is managed by another LLC in a different country in order to launch this like meme token. He's like, yeah, I launched it. Yeah, we fired up a U.S. LLC.
Wait, is that the concern? Because there's a ton of meme coins out there that like everybody in our audience is like participating in trading. Is that the thing that people are upset about
Like
Haktua for? Like,
if you ever went to
Except that they rugged everybody.
Okay, so it's the rugging. It's not about the fact that she didn't have a
No.
Cayman Islands LLC or
But
something.
Steven, you've looked at this and you've talked to lawyers. We both have like just done the research. You talk to a lawyer who's current up on crypto and securities law, and they're like, no, you got to like start a foundation in Panama and then another entity.
God, it's so dumb.
Right? I mean, that
So
was
much
their
complexity
current
just to
understanding, and
rug
then the
somebody.
president comes out and just launches one, and you're like, oh, so is this either illegal or what we're doing is legal now?
president.
Crime is legal now.
He's the king. This is what the
Crime is
dictator. The dictator is immune.
So you were feeling a little more sanguine about this than I was.
Sanguine. That's a good word. Well, how are you feeling? You were
I'm not
gross.
like
It's
I'm not.
Let's backtrack. So Trump. We don't need to like repeat anything, but just let's get ourselves like squared up here.
Yeah, president launches meme coin 2 days
President-
before inauguration.
Okay, and which you find
And meme
gross,
coin goes to $70 billion fully diluted value.
Right.
which you find gross, disgusting, and wrong.
Yeah, those are all accurate. Those are all accurate.
And you are feeling like the market is just going to send a nuke faster than it previously would have as a result of this.
Yes.
What else are you feeling?
I mean, those are two pretty large things. Do you want to dig into those?
No, I mean, I think I did a good job encapsulating there. So yeah.
Yeah, I
What
think
else?
it's like morally, maybe not morally, but like ethically,
let's
ethically
hear
horrific.
why it's wrong and gross.
It's wrong and gross because like it's like what you do this is what you do 2 days before inauguration, and like there's no, I still don't see any like executive orders other than freeing Ross, which was good. But there's been no movement of anything in the space, right? But like, so we prioritize the launching of the meme coin. Like the president of the free world, like shouldn't be able to do things where he can like enrich himself in such like a gross and overt kind of way. And there's like a distinction, I think, between like financial products and him like selling shoes, right? Like if the Saudis wanted to influence him, for example, right? It would be very difficult for them to be like, oh, Mr. President, we're going to buy $1 billion of your beautiful gold shoes, right? But they actually could, for example, like go onto the open market and buy like $1 billion of his coin, and then like the dev wallet could just start selling, and it's like there's all sorts of weird, gross shit that starts happening. I have it from a good inside source that like Don Jr. made $500 million on the launch, like from like one of these insider wallets. And this, everybody knew this happened. Like everybody knew that happened, right? So how many people like pulled how many hundreds of millions of dollars out of it? It's obviously terrible, right? So the attempt to like spin this as even like morally neutral, I think is wrong and pretty misguided.
And morally, simply because he benefited, I won't say the word simply, but because he extracted a ton of value for his
And also
Mafia.
because of who he is, right?
Yeah.
Because like there's
and
like a
from
bunch
the position of being president.
because there's like I don't think Stephen will have any problem with like a non-president launching their own meme coin and then benefiting.
Okay.
But
I have less problems, significantly less problems.
But you could also look at the intention behind it by how it was set up. I mean, when you do like a low supply meme coin, you hold 80% of it. You can already read the intention before even seeing the results. You're like, okay, we realize what they're doing. This is like pure extraction.
Okay, I actually would push back on that a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think that much in the same way that when you found a company, it's good if you own like a lot of the equity and you have skin in the game and stuff. Like this is a problem we've had, for example, to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but with like the how we're launching like agents in crypto, and like the dev has like 1% of the float or something. And
That's
then the
not
dev
good.
like sells like half of his, and then he just doesn't care. There's no skin in the game. He can't do anything, right? So if you control a ton of the equity in a world where you have like securities laws and stuff, like it's actually it's a good thing. You can do stuff to incentivize adoption. Maybe you do airdrops. Maybe you do all sorts of. Maybe you pay people to work on it, right? It's not necessarily it's not necessarily inherently bad that you keep like a bunch of the float. It is bad to like have non-transparent like insiders kind of getting in, sniping stuff, dumping, enriching. Like that's bad. But I don't want to say like just because it's a low float, high FTV, it's terrible.
Okay.
But like obviously that has been like a meme for a while for good reason.
My initial reaction was like, Carne Asada Chris texted the thread. He was like, anyone get rich off this? And then texted in the morning. And I was like, I guess it's kind of nice when they grift right in front of your face instead of insider trading.
Yeah, it's like, look, I would say it's kind of better in a way, but still, it's just not good.
I was also like, maybe I should buy some to ensure I get the future tax cut airdrop, only available to Trump
I
holders.
thought that was smart, by the way.
I mean, that was my sentiment at the time. I was like, I felt like this is kind of gross and weird and just so obviously in your face, like unethical. But at the same time, for all the friends who made money off it, I was like stoked. And people want to gamble. Like people clearly want to gamble. They don't want anyone to hold their hands and be like, you could lose money at this. Like they know that, and people want to gamble. So, you know, we want to do that. It would have been more preferable if he would have been like, hey, this is how you should do this now. Here's at least my intention for a law in the future, and boom, release his own as like, here's an example. I don't know. It just
I don't have a problem with people gambling.
Yeah.
That's not the problem.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think where my questions lie are kind of like, Steven, you've been on other podcasts, I think like Bankless and others maybe, where you're a proponent of meme coins as a representation of like value accrual in an attention economy. And I guess I'm wondering, like, where does this one go awry for you to not like this version of it, this iteration? Is it just because it's the president doing it?
I mean, a huge reason is, that it's the president doing it.
Which I think
Right.
agree with. I actually never really liked meme coins to begin with. I guess follow-up question was your sort of like meme coin idealism maybe that like these things attract attention initially and then maybe ultimately pivot into something valuable, like on a real base, like a tangible basis? Or are you just like okay with like maybe
meme coins are like drugs in that like the sort of base functionality of drugs in that they can like affect change in the body can actually be wielded for like very useful purposes, right? But like you can also take that same functionality and do like horrifically negative stuff with it. And like meme coins they're not all created equal. Like something like Dogecoin or something, or a coin even like Pepe, something that has like no inflation and like the supply is distributed and it's basically kind of like Bitcoin-esque in that it's just like out there and everything. That to me is different than like launching like a like very controlled like money extraction scheme, because then the function goes from like memetics and sort of a marketplace of attention to like this like insider gross casino game, which is how like financial markets used to be before we had securities laws and stuff to a large degree. So like markets aren't bad, but like markets obviously without particular regulation and stuff, especially financial markets, like can really shred people very, very badly. So I think there's some nuance in that.
Armand, where did the community disagree with your take so much?
Yeah, and I want to hear your
What
take,
is
'cause
your
I
take?
tried to piece it together a little bit, but I had trouble. I think I get the gist of it, but you want to lay it out?
Yeah, so if
You
you're not
seem-
reading
you seem
every
reluctant.
message, if you're not reading every message, I am a little reluctant because I'm not a conflict person, and I rarely want to like get into like, I don't really love debates, but I also feel strongly about this, and so I'm like, well, this is very alfalfa to have a messy gray discussion, and my reaction to it was positive overall. I look at this as a person who understands crypto. I'm not maybe as, I've been in crypto since 2013, and I'm in it because I love the sovereignty and I love the wealth that it creates for people. And it's the best performing asset over the last 10 years, and I fucking love it. And I do feel that there is some very promising technology at the core. At the same time, I'm not building in the space, so I don't have that empathy. I can have that empathy, but I don't actually have that empathy of someone who's building in the space and has very clear ideals of what this space can bring. And so to me, when I see somebody like Donald Trump show up and create the awareness toward the space that he has as a result of this meme coin, I do two things. I look at it happened, and these are the facts, and this is the reality, and what do I do with it? And also, I look at it as like less egregious as many others would. So I literally am like, you know, I'm thinking about this constantly, and I'm actually like looking at myself and I'm saying, why am I in the minority here? Like, why am I like so on the other side of this? And I'm still actually like, I'm extremely open to hearing your perspectives on like why I'm wrong about this. But overall, the way I look at this is like, here's my perspective without like telling you where you guys are wrong or something. I look at this and I see we lived under a 4-year period, at the very least 4 years, under Biden, where and arguably longer under Trump previously, where crypto was not doing anything. No one could do anything. None of our friends could build. No one had regulatory guidance. And the whole thing was just like stagnated and fucked. Okay. And then I look at this and I see Donald Trump gets the message that crypto is important to people and that this could actually influence his presidential election. And whether it was for real, genuine reasons, which I don't think they really were, or like, you know, or not, that he realized like winning this vote of the crypto people is important. And he probably started to realize all the benefits that this could bring to him, to the country, to people, to innovation, to the GDP, to win in this department. Not to mention crypto is an aspect of technology overall. I would put it underneath the whole technology umbrella of being the best with AI, the best with crypto, the most forward-thinking nation on the planet in terms of allowing these things to prosper. So then Trump looks at that and he says, okay, I'm going to talk to the Ryan Selkises of the world. I'm going to talk to the crypto people. I'm going to bring on David Sachs to be my advisor, my crypto czar. So he's got these people talking to him and telling him, and they obviously all knew that he was probably thinking of doing something like this. So he's got very smart people talking to him that are industry native. And I saw Ryan Selkis' tweet, for what it's worth, where he had the criticism of like, you need to do something good with the 80% to relieve people of their concerns. But all of that aside, there's this party, you know, and I shout out to Pat in our community who used this analogy of like a party of someone bringing cocaine to the party and fucking up the party. And I liked that analogy. And I'm looking at this as like, on one hand, you get no party. You get nothing.
First of all, Pat seems like he's a real downer at parties.
Yeah. Cocaine fucks up a party?
On the one hand, you have a party with, and I'm one of these nerds. You got the nerds. And the nerds are trying to build, and they're building, and they're talking, and they're just, over the last 4 years, just talking about upgrades and moving. Should we move from proof of work to proof of stake? And then we do EIP this and EIP that, and nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. And you know what they're all saying? You know what you all are constantly talking about, including me, is how do we get the normies to onboard into crypto? How do we get them on chain? How do we get them to show up through Robinhood, through Coinbase, and eventually get them on chain trading? And by the way, what does every crypto person actually want to do? They want to dump their bags on these normies. Can we please be honest? You want to dump your bags on the next generation of crypto people. That's why you want more participants, because you're tired of playing a PvP game, aren't you? So what are you looking for? You're looking for people to open the door and bring people in. But it just so happens that the president is the person who got the message, found the opportunity, extracted the value, filled his own bags, and opened the door to people. And what I see is an opportunist. I see someone who got the message. I see an entrepreneur, not unlike any of you or I or any of the entrepreneurs that are out there. Why are we sitting here shaming somebody for finding opportunity and making the most of it? And my position was, this overall will make the space better long term, and here's why. When you are the president, and first of all, you buy the president's coin, that's a no-brainer. President has a fucking crypto coin. You buy the president's coin, whether you got in on day 1 or day 2 or day 3 or maybe now. The point is, there's going to be some benefit to that. And you could be late, it could dump to zero, and all of that is still possibly true. And of course, this whole space, again, will go through a bear cycle and everything will go down 99%. We can get into the nuances of that. But the point is, when now you have Fox Business or CNBC highlighting the fact that the president has a coin, on day 2, you had 400,000 new people on chain. This is what everybody has been waiting for. The problem is people don't like, to Eric's question, so does it really just come down to the fact that it's the president? And that's exactly the problem. That's exactly the tough pill to swallow for people, is the conflict. The fact that it's the president who's becoming richer. And by the way, I said this in the Discord as well, Trump is on his way to becoming one of the wealthiest, richest people in the world, guaranteed now. With the fact that he has the control of all of this, and he will sort of shift regulatory guidance to favor all of this gambling and all of the things that he's doing, and meme coins and filling his bags and all these new entities that he's going to start. He's going to become insanely rich in the 100 billion plus region. This is what everyone has been waiting for. If we're not happy with this, then what did we want? Like, what's the point of this space if you can't accept the fact that the president's going to get rich along the way for you to get rich eventually? You're going to get rich. And by the way, everyone is looking at this and saying like, well, this ruins all the good projects. Now what gets highlighted is meme coins. Meme coins are a fad. Meme coins were the opportunity for Donald Trump to jump on to open the doors for people. When people onboard into crypto, they go, okay.
There's so many good takes. Just like let somebody jump in.
Armand, can we have a structured discussion?
No.
You're just like too many things.
You're vomiting.
I've been so full. I've been so full. I've been so full. There's so many people that will onboard into crypto through a meme coin that will then find the good project that you are building, which, by the way, with the proper regulatory guidance now, you'll be able to build without fear of going to jail. And so they're going to find your good project. It's all going to be okay.
I wish I had
It's
a
all gonna be
notepad
okay.
and a pen so I could.
Hey,
Right.
I actually genuinely wanted to like ask him a bunch of questions,
Okay,
and
ask
I don't
me
even know where to
questions. You
like
can go back.
start. Oh,
I took
so many
notes on
things.
your stuff because it was
right.
so good for me.
All right. Okay, so you said a few things there that
I needed to give
took,
my overall
Okay.
hypothesis of where
You
I
said a few things
my
that I
overall
took
take
umbrage with. My short-term memory is shot, unfortunately. But like one thing stuck out. You said like you're all waiting to dump your bags on somebody. So now this guy brought in a bunch of people for you to dump your bags on. And I have issue with this for like a couple of reasons. One, although it is true, people want to buy an asset and sell it to somebody at a higher price later. I think most people who are in the space for the right reasons want to think of themselves as like functioning as the value discovery mechanism in the market, discovering something that has value before the market discovers it has value, selling a valuable item to them at a higher price later, but they've discovered something that like creates value, right? And so in a sense, they're sort of colloquially, quote unquote, dumping their bags, but like, it's not like a Ponzi scheme, right? So like conflating those two things, I don't like, because like, obviously like the trader in me doesn't care. The trader in me wants to make money, but like the crypto enthusiast in me is like, I am investing in stuff. Like I am reading papers. I'm thinking about tech. I'm like, can this be something someday? Like, have I discovered future value? And am I going to just sell that to a higher bidder? But I'm not like dumping. Like if you find a micro cap stock that is a diamond in the rough, right? You're not just like dumping your bag on somebody. I mean, you kind of are, but what you're really doing is you're functioning as a speculator in the market, driving the price up of an asset. You're doing like price discovery because like you're finding something that the market overlooked.
Okay.
Like you see how that's different than just being early to a worthless token.
I'm not
and
talking
dumping it on
about
somebody,
dumping
right?
Trump coin on people. I'm talking exactly about what you're talking about.
But
You
when you say like
need-
you,
no,
what
no,
you
I'm
want
saying the
is to
game-
be you were like be honest.
No,
You want
I'm
to dump your
saying-
bag on
I'm
somebody.
saying the game has no edge right now. It's PvP. You need new entrants to the game in order for you to find that.
No, pause. I already
Speculative
disagree
asset.
with you. The reason it is PvP isn't because you need new entrants to the game in particular. It's because you need the game to create stuff that has like
And this is going to
enduring
create that.
value.
This
No,
is- yes,
no,
it
it's
is.
not. What creates
it is.
no. What allows people to create value in the space isn't luring a bunch of lemmings in to slaughter them.
No.
It is like just creating a framework for people to build useful
Trump
products.
coin is not going to create that. It's
Exactly,
the
it's not.
president. No, I'm
Right, you
not.
could
sitting
argue
here,
that it actually makes it worse.
I'm not sitting here talking about Trump coin. I'm talking about the president being pro crypto.
Okay,
and
whoa,
along
whoa,
the
whoa, whoa.
way-
I wanna narrow in,
Hold on,
though.
hold
I
on.
wanna narrow
Along
in.
the way, he has a coin.
No. But I want to
Everyone
focus.
has a problem
I want to
with-
focus on Trump coin.
Well, I don't have a lot to say about Trump coin. I know that it's extractive.
Like I agree with you.
I actually agreed with
it's,
that.
It's very easy to do this discussion and then be like, you throw a jab and you step out and you're like you kind of like Mott and Bailey it, right? You say something, but then it's just like, well, I don't mean Trump coins, like, but having Trump as president who likes crypto is good because then like I kind of agree with that.
Then that's
Right,
what my
right.
point
So-
is.
But I want to talk about Trump coin specifically.
Okay,
I agree that having a crypto president's good.
So let's allow you the space to do that and like talk about the Trump coin. But I think what Armand's talking about is the overarching theme where it's like, okay, so we want crypto to be a real thing and we want it to do real things. And does Trump coin further enable that or move us further away?
And I don't really care about Trump coin is just Donald Trump's way to make money. I'm talking about a pro crypto president bringing these things.
But that's the,
Okay,
that's
but
the
this
problem.
is a different argument you're making, which is why I wanted to drill. I wanted to be like specific, like what are we discussing, right? Because I think
there's
it's
a
a
lot
very
of layers to it.
no, I agree, and I think it's a very different discussion. Is Trump as a gigantic layered onion when you peel everything back, good or bad for crypto, is a very different discussion between is Trump coin
which piece do you want to
good?
peel?
I'm kind of more interested in Trump. I think everybody probably agrees that overall, Trump is going to be net good for crypto. I happen to be of the opinion that he's going to be much less good than he could have theoretically been
Had he not
grifted so hard. And I don't even want to say like he totally grifted because I am still leaving open the door that he could do something interesting and useful with the coin because I think that actually is a possibility.
No.
I have no faith in the competence
chance.
of the people who run it to do that because like it's just chaos over there, right? But I'm leaving that door open. But like I also don't have a lot of I just look at Trump steaks and Trump wine and Trump shoes.
What it like really comes down to for people is the conflict that exists with the president having his own coin.
No,
And
it's beyond that.
it's
it
all
is
of the
beyond that.
grifting, the potential grifting, the current grifting. That's what is bothering people.
Like, I think you're right. He built up this community who supported him, said, you're going to be the first crypto president. He listened. He took all the feedback in. Like you said, he talked to Ryan Selkis. He talked to David Sachs. He got a bunch of funding, and maybe that was his initial reaction. And he said, I'm going to be the first pro crypto president. And instead of, asking Congress to enact stablecoin legislation, instead of establishing a Bitcoin reserve and not selling the existing Bitcoin, or instead of saying, hey, I want to make it legal for banks to hold crypto, he took the money for himself. And that was the
He
first,
front ran it all.
of course. And that's like the thing that just like, it's like, dude, Like, you got all this fundraising money, and like you clearly use this to like extract value for yourself instead of establishing a framework.
I genuinely believe that many entrepreneurs would have done the same thing, but I wouldn't have done it. And it's not.
But the president
me.
is not supposed to be an entrepreneur. He is an entrepreneur, and maybe we like him for his pro-business like mind and his business acumen so that he can understand the economy. But we're not asking him to be an entrepreneur in office. We're asking him to be the leader of the country. Not
that clip that we played. He knew to the dollar where his coin was at, and he acted oblivious, right? Because it 10x'd his net worth.
I think it's possible that
Yeah, that made him more money than all of real estate, everything.
Ever has. He knew exactly where it was at. He's playing a game. I see that. I know that.
Why make that your first thing though? Make that the like fifth thing you do, and still do it.
Because it wouldn't have done as well. He front ran it.
Exactly. So
Okay, I actually genuinely believe there's a world where Trump doesn't care that much about crypto, doesn't really actually understand it that deeply.
Oh, he definitely does
and
not
he,
understand
in his
it.
brain, thought he was like basically launching like a new version of shoes or watches or something. And I think there's
Right.
definitely a world where he launched this
Licensing
coin,
deal.
and they were like, "Sir, your coin is worth $70 billion," and he was like, "What?" I think he probably thought he was going to sell like
Oh,
in
I
his
mean,
brain. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to sell like
it
$5
shocked
million of
everybody.
coins or something."
I think it shocked everybody.
I mean, I think people were shocked by the grift factor, but I think people who were like kind of in touch with like the meme space were like, "Oh, this is probably going to be the biggest meme because this is just how memes work." But like, I totally believe that he was like,
Yeah.
did not see this coming and was like, "What the fuck have I done?"
So back to your point. Like, I don't have a strong opinion on Trump coin. I'm talking about everything else that comes as a result of this.
yeah, but don't you think the Trump coin detracts from everything else?
Yeah, Trump
No,
coin is
I
like
think-
the focus. Of
But I
this.
think this is the interesting conversation.
Yeah.
It's like if you believe in crypto and you want to see crypto succeed, we probably collectively, and I mean like our audience and everybody, sees crypto beyond meme coin gambling, right? It plays a role beyond that. And I guess like the question that I have still stands. It's like, do you think that this experience brought us closer to that vision or farther away?
100% closer to that vision. It may not be the same vision that you had. It's an evolution, right? The origin founders of any company or any initiative or any dream begin with something. And along the way, you need marketers, you need investors, you need evangelists, and those people are going to take over your vision to a certain degree. And you have to be willing to withstand that. You have to be. And if you're not willing to withstand that and evolve with it and understand that these are the new rules of the game, and I'm going to take the reality of what is and maximize it toward my vision still to the best degree that I can, you might as well not be playing the game. What's happening with people oftentimes is that they are holding on to their original version, their ethos of what it can be too strongly, but that only exists in a small container. If you're going to get the Ethereum Foundation in a room and they're going to talk about a vision for the world, it's going to be very crystal clear. They're going to be very aligned. Everyone's going to feel really
Not that
good
aligned.
about things, right? But as soon as you open the door to outside people, you don't like unicorns, you don't like this, you don't like that, you don't like soy, and all of a sudden, like, it changes, and you have to be willing to evolve, because crypto is Bitcoin, it's Ethereum, it's Chainlink, it's all of these, it's meme coins,
it's
it's
everything.
all of these things. And at certain times, there are going to be people that come along that are the marketers. They're going to create the awareness to open the door and bring people in. And by the way, do you know how many young people now have awareness of crypto that didn't before and are going to come into this space and do good things? That's
Yeah.
how marketing works.
Okay, so can we talk about that? Because like, I think one of your points is that it brought a lot of new people. I'm 50-50 on that. So let's say, it's a couple 100,000 people who hold the coin. Maybe half of them were new. I'd argue it's a lot less.
It's a lot more.
But let's
No,
more than that.
I support that idea.
that's more new.
I've gotten so many texts from normies
Okay.
about
what day did you get those texts?
the text actually started with Ripple.
Okay.
And they have like now proceeded with Trump coin.
My point is that like if they're gonna like buy and hold this thing, which most normies are, and not gonna trade it, like in 4 years, this thing is like almost guaranteed, outside of some magical utility that only the president could bestow upon, a meme coin. It's gonna end in bad.
So this is a question I asked Steven on Irresponsibly Long yesterday, but I'll ask you now. Does this sow the seeds of future Bitcoiners, or does this sow the seeds of future crypto haters?
Crypto haters.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and maybe we're very have main character trauma, right? We're very careful to be like, okay, who's going to be the main character of this whole cycle is going to fuck this up. And prior to this, it was Michael Saylor. It's like, okay, do your thing. It's going well so far, but you're setting yourself up to fuck all of us. And then, in comes pro crypto president with all these, like, I call it 1,000 scenario possibilities. And he chooses the one in which he extracts all the money out before bestowing it upon everyone else. And you're like, okay, now you inserted yourself as, we got second main character now who could fuck this thing up for us. And it's like, man, you just put us on this like alternative path that didn't have to go down. You still could have made a bunch of money if you would have at least said, hey, here are the new rules of the game. Everyone can play. And I'm going to play too. And that would have been infinitely
Don't discount
better.
the fact that he's 78 years old and he is going to extract the maximum amount of money he can during these 4 years. That's a
And I'm
big
saying
part
that
of this.
That's not good though.
Yeah, like I agree with you. It is the fact, right? It's the facts on the
fact.
ground. But like
He is
the argument
creating a
is it good or
legacy.
bad?
He doesn't have time. This is a legacy play. This is about building an empire to be the richest person. He'll never come out and say this because it's not. He wants to be the richest person on the planet.
And I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I think there is a future. We look at this 10 years from now, and Brian Armstrong said this at in a Wall Street Journal article, but he was interview, and he said that like, listen, they're asking about meme coins and Trump's coin. He's like, listen, I don't really trade meme coins, but think about to the early internet. There was like all these like useless, funny,
.coms.
silly things that come up, and he likened it to cat videos. There was all these cat videos and they had no use. There was no commercial use. There was no like growing the economy, but you fast forward 20 years later and like 80% of the economy is happening online. And we could look back and just be like, the meme coins were like cat videos and Trump's was the most popular cat video. And we've evolved the technology over time to where it's actually useful. I think he probably set us back. He could have got us there a lot sooner, but I hope that's the like, 10-year look back that like, okay, this was silly.
Yeah, like I said, I am
Use of the technology.
less interested in Trump coin. I'm really interested in like, okay,
But your argument was that it was good. That it was.
Yeah.
Well,
I want to
no,
hold
no.
you. I want to hold you to Trump coin.
no, hold me to it. And I'm saying I'm looking at my cards, and I'm looking at my cards, and I'm saying like, okay, there's Trump coin now, and this changes everything. And instead of sitting there and saying this is not the crypto I signed up for, how can I play this? I don't want to be right. I want to make money. And in order to do that, I need to move on from my emotions about it as quickly as possible. I don't know if you've noticed this podcast, like I have become someone like, as soon as something happens, I no longer have this like, yes, there are times in life where you have to hold your moral. I think this is what people are feeling. I have to hold my moral ground. This is wrong. And I understand that. But there are certain times where you sitting there in life and fighting reality does not serve you. This is done.
So that's a
done.
different argument.
Different
and I like
argument,
that argument
yeah.
though.
No, but
Different
this
argument.
Is,
I
this
like
is
that one.
done. And now I can't, if I'm playing Uno, I can't get rid of this card right now. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do? That's how I'm looking at life. That's how I'm looking at crypto right now.
But I guess I think they both agreed with that take. What I'm
Yeah, I
wondering,
obviously don't disagree with
I
that, yeah.
think that when I tried to say this in the Discord, this is my take.
No,
Like, this is
you
the-
were arguing it was good.
This is my take.
Okay,
Like,
so
this-
you think
this
it's an
is my
opportunity
take.
to make money. You have to accept it, and there's opportunities to make money now.
And you can hold both those at the same
You
time. Be like,
can.
you
You
should
can
which
hold
which
both of
I
those.
agree with, and you should do that.
If you listen to me now and if you read whatever, it doesn't matter what I wrote. The point is, I'm not going through the wave of like, first this sucks, now what do I do? I'm just saying it is.
Yeah.
Now what do I do?
I mean,
I didn't go through a grief phase. I'm
it's
just like,
funny.
go.
Like this is like the like intersection of like a low trust society with the financialization of everything. It's like all these like trends merging together, and I mean, I agree with you. You should make money. Like I was at dinner and I was like, wow, that dinner cost me like $800,000. But
that dinner
and at the
cost us everything.
and at the same
My-
time,
my
I was
date
like, this
night-
is bad. But I also wish I made more money off it. So like, I feel like I could hold your argument and the same, like that's still bad for the future. Like all my entire other portfolio, is gonna suffer because.
But
of
I
this.
guess like what I'm interested in as like a long-term holder guy and a guy who's like interested in the space, but also making money in the space. But like I'm interested in making money in the space because of what Steven said before. Like we are early to something that is valuable. I'm asking if this thing that just launched makes this thing more valuable or less over like what I'd consider a long-term time horizon, which is like 5 years. Like I think it might actually be detrimental in 5
Dude,
years.
we're all mercenaries. We're all penny loyal. Like in 1 week, we could like literally forget about this if he kind of like takes some action. Is like, I want stablecoin legislation.
Okay,
I want
hold
banks
on.
to be able,
Here-
like we would forget about it in
Hold on.
2 seconds. Like, hey, glad you made your 40 billion. You did what you promised.
Hold on.
All is forgiven.
Here's an important question. What country in the world is the leader in crypto?
Dubai, Singapore,
Singapore. I don't know.
What opportunity is being missed by America not being the leader in crypto? Think about what
different
that would do.
argument, though.
Think about what that would do for America. Like, okay, Eric's question. Like, is this actually good? Medium, long term?
And
If
I'm talking
America,
about, I'm even talking about good for price. Like I'm even talking
That's
about
what I'm
what
saying,
you
too.
I'm even talking about
that's
what
what I'm
your
saying.
angle.
So if America becomes extremely pro crypto, what does that do for crypto?
well, Trump coin was obviously bad for price because it sucked all the
It was
liquidity.
a temporary liquidity suck.
Yeah, that was like a
That was
few,
crazy, by the
few
way.
day liquidity suck for
No
sure.
one should look at their portfolio. Right
Okay,
now.
you know what? This initial case for me was like, imagine Eric has a deli. He starts a deli. He's making the best fucking sandwiches in the world. But there's some like kind of like law that's like preventing people from going in and getting the sandwiches. Like people who really want the sandwiches can go in and get them. But in reality, there's just like this weird ordinance, right? And we just need to remove that ordinance. And then instead of just like a guy coming in and being like, okay, we're going to remove the ordinance so that you can sell your amazing
He's like,
sandwiches.
only my daughter.
A
could-
guy comes in and goes like, you know what'll get people into your store? I am going to set up shop and sell the best fucking cocaine you've ever snorted right in the middle of your store. We're going to get so many people in your store. And then Eric's like, but, and then like suddenly like all these people are piling into Eric's store. And he's like, I just wanted to change the law. And all these people are just buying sandwiches. And they're like, oh, the sandwiches are fucking awesome. And like for a short period of time, it's good. But then I worry, like in the near future, we get some drug addictions. People have ruined their lives like trying to get to Eric's sandwiches, and they maybe even are mad at Eric's sandwiches because of their drug addiction, even though that wasn't even why they're.
Bring me back to crypto. Bring me back to crypto on the analogy, please.
Good crypto is the sandwiches,
Yeah.
and the cocaine is the Trump meme coin.
Yeah, I get it.
And we
Yeah.
just needed like a.
I think that's
law.
a good analogy. Good analogy. I agree.
Well, I hope everyone in the crew made some money off of it because it was certainly a
great.
great opportunity.
Because we sure didn't.
We sure didn't.
Not like I live online or anything.
But part of the bonding of crypto is all the W's you never taken and all the L's you took. It's part of the bonding program.
It's about all the L's you take along the way.
Yeah. You guys want to switch topics or anything else to say on
Yeah.
this?
Let's keep it moving.
Thank you for providing a safe space.
Of course, this is like the perfect alfalfa topic.
I was
Combines
really
ethics, technology,
My favorite
money.
thing about this topic was that Armand was so hesitant to talk about it. Like people were gonna mail him like pipe bombs or something.
No, that's not what I said.
You've never been hesitant on any other topic on earth.
Of all the stuff Armand's talked about, he's like, "Oh, guys, I don't know if I could talk about this."
Let me say why. The reason is because people feel a particular way about crypto, and I am at odds with that, and I don't want to take away from the thing that people have worked so hard on. They've worked so hard on it. This is not my space.
I mean, I'm with you. Like, I'm happy to say, like, I'm interested in crypto to make money, not to build anything. Like, I don't really care about
and
the
I
ethos.
and I
like,
respect people so much that are doing good in this space, and I don't want to like take away from what they're building. So that's all. I just don't want to hurt their vision. But this is the way I'm playing the cards I'm dealt right now. That's
Fair
all.
enough. Your feelings are noted.
Thank
and
you.
they are empathized with.
Heard,
I
Chef.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. I need
Thank
to
you,
be-
Chef.
So Armand posted something. This was like a week ago, and he posted on Twitter at Armand Asadi, and he posed a question to OpenAI's O1 model, and he basically asked, "What is the greatest album of music of all time?"
Can I pee while you
All
talk
time. Yeah,
about
go
it?
ahead. I got
Tee
you.
it up.
And the answer was like so well thought of. And he texted us the tweet and was like, "Hey, check."
After he did the prompt,
Yeah.
initially it was
Initially it
right.
was dumb, and then
Yeah.
he's like, "Look, I found a way to kind of like get a smarter response out of this." And he sent it to us, and I read the whole response. It was so well thought out. It thought of like the framework it should use. It questioned the framework. It applied different frameworks, came with different answers. Then it gave an actual answer, but it was so well thought out. And my initial answer was like, "Guys, AGI is already here." Like, people talk about, "Oh, when is it coming?" But if you would have thrown this to someone in 2021 and be like, "Look at this answer. Look at what I asked a machine this question. It gave me this response." You'd have been like, "Fuck, Terminator's coming in like 60 days," because of how far advanced this would be. And my argument is that AGI is kind of already here, and there's been some rumors on social media that OpenAI has found this like recursive improvement in which their current models can train the future models, and which provides like this like acceleration that we haven't predicted, in which not AGI, but artificial super intelligence,
Like beyond AGI.
beyond, like not beating
Beyond
the
AGI.
average, not beating the average human, but beating the smartest human. And I've had my own personal experiences where I've asked O1 some questions, and I'm like, "Wow, I just got something done in 12 minutes that would have taken me weeks to accomplish." And
do you really believe this, or is this like a prompt?
so okay, my question is, or my argument is that we already have artificial general intelligence, like, and we keep moving these goalposts because we're kind of that frog in a boiling water analogy, and we keep seeing these progressions over time. We're like, but it's not that smart yet. But you look at the benchmarks, you look at your own personal experience, and you look at like just specifically even the prompt that Armand showed and the answer back. Like, we're moving the goalposts, and I think we should be like, yeah, we already have artificial general intelligence.
Okay, I suppose that's correct.
It can't
Like,
do things for you yet. It's
but
not.
like whatever you're deeming as like general intelligence also exists on a spectrum. So like, is this thing 12-year-old smart? Probably.
No, I'm saying it's take your average human. I don't know what the IQ is. Call it like 120, and it's smarter than those. And not only is it smarter in terms of the reasoning capability, but it also has access to all of the context of human history. So when you ask O1, "Hey, what's the significance of this event?" or "How do I do this?"
But
not
it,
only
like-
is its reasoning capabilities smarter than the average
on.
human, but it has the information which I cannot hold in my
Wait,
brain.
hold up.
I agree with
Why
that.
do you say it's reasoning?
But I
Because
okay.
it is.
Is it though?
Yes, O1 specifically, when you ask it a question, it reprompts itself over and over and over again to make sure it has a smarter answer. And
But is that really reasoning?
Yes.
Or is it just like recursively prompting itself to like parrot better stuff? that's
Yeah, it's
more
like
refined?
series of ones and zeros more accurately. It's not. I don't think it's reasoning. I also think that like something that we tried earlier. Like I have trouble with it doing the most basic math, and like we asked it to calculate a CAGR, compound annual growth rate, and I don't think it was correct. And like this is something that like is definitely not AGI.
Yes, and I'm with you because like in my line of work, I have all this stuff I want to use AI for. Like I want to have it just look at a chart and tell me stuff that if you had basic levels of deduction and reasoning you'd be able to do.
Okay.
But because it doesn't have like the body of work to pair it from, it just sounds fucking stupid
Okay.
when you ask it to do that.
I
kind of
agree.
stuff.
So is the problem that the plumbing of like connecting this AGI, this potential AGI, to these other tools and other data sources, that's the problem. It's not that we don't have the like raw intelligence power available to us that's better than the average human being to calculate and make decisions and come to conclusions. It's more about the raw power. Like we even talked about agents several times, and it's not as easy to connect to things. Like you have to do some coding and you probably need to be technically capable, but once it's there, the artificial general intelligence, smarter than the average human being, it exists. And I think we're already there, and we just keep moving the goalposts. And I don't know if that's anything significant to take action on. It's not this like profound conclusion that maybe changes your daily life. But if you realize that we're already there, then you might think you should come to the conclusion that we're a lot closer to artificial super intelligence than we predicted.
Is it like, oh man, I just feel like
And that has real consequences.
I disagree that it's like intelligent. I just think it's like a better Googler. Like it's just like super Googler. That's all it is. It's a super Googler.
But what it's doing is trying to predict. It's trying to have a high prediction rate of like the right answer, right? And what is reasoning? I feel like reasoning is like a very similar thing. And
that I agree with that. It's taking in a lot of inputs and then like trying to create like the highest probability output.
The thought that it put towards what is the best album is better of a thought and reasoning framework than the average human being would put into like what's the best album.
Like a top person in that.
But totally, because it totally wiped out all the behavioral biases that come with like recency bias.
But why is it so bad? If it can do like sort of like gray area things very well, why is it so awful at black and white things like math? It's awful,
right? Because it's doing a predictive algorithm than like an actual calculation, which I'd argue is solvable, and I don't see that as like a big problem.
Are text based at their core, so it requires a lot of reinforcement learning to get good at these particular realms. And I mean, like they're always comparing on various benchmarks to say like which one is best at math, and they're always competing in general, but math has definitely always been a weakness, whereas coding has not, and creativity has not, which surprised us all in the beginning.
Totally.
So like to Nick's point, AGI, which is like general intelligence, is all of these things working very well at once, and like you literally being able to have someone that's smarter than the average person in your back pocket. It's going to have these like gaps, but people are finding that like in most areas of life, it is more intelligent than the average person, if not at least to a master's or PhD level.
And think about the previous benchmarks. Remember when we had like an IBM computer play Jeopardy and we were like, oh, that's cute. Like it almost won, or it kind of won. Like if ChatGPT played Jeopardy now, it would just dominate. It would absolutely dominate the average human being. It wouldn't be fun to watch anymore.
No question.
And my point is that like the goalposts are changing, and it's natural for this to happen when you like have this like kind of incremental innovation happening in front of you. But we're there, and we should celebrate it. But then we should also be like, okay, so what's the next goalpost and how we should prepare? And I think we're ill prepared for the next one. And maybe this is a segue into like the education topic. And if you guys want to go there,
we have an education topic.
Kind of.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, wow.
Can you pull up in the card, Armand? There's a Trello card on talking about college students, and there's a demo of a new tutor.
Are we going to skip the Elon Nazi thing?
Probably.
Okay.
I already said we were going to skip it.
Oh, this
we
one.
should probably skip it for
This one.
continuity.
So Eric, turn this on, and we don't need to play it with
No volume.
I don't think so, but go ahead and play it. So what this is, as Armand's playing
I'm the
this,
tutor. What's your name?
actually play it. Let's see what it says.
And how about my spelling?
Amazing.
Excellent. Theo, we are going to learn math like you've never learned it before. No textbooks, no worksheets, no homework. What do you say?
I hate homework, so yeah, I'm gonna love this.
Welcome back, Sam. You're on fire with that 3-day streak. I noticed it's been about 3 weeks since we worked on multiplication flashcards. Might be a good time for a quick review.
I like this.
Or if you're feeling adventurous, we could jump into Factor Extractor, which you just unlocked.
I want to try something new, like Babylon.
Factor Extractor? Great choice. Have you learned about square numbers before?
Yeah, I know quite a bit about square numbers.
That's great. Do you want to show me what you already know?
Okay.
Let's do it. Great work, Lily. Would you like to wrap up for today or dive into another lesson?
You can turn down the volume at the very least. We can let
I'm intrigued. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, actually.
Yeah, like,
I didn't know it was this far along.
I found it very intriguing to find a visualization of the demo of what we imagine education would be like in the future, right? It's like kid's got an iPad in front of it. The AI knows it, and it just takes it on its own unique path based upon their answers,
man.
and it turns into a game.
Personalized.
And it just, boom,
What's
real
the path
time.
you want to take? What's your level?
Let's make it fun.
It's amazing.
Imagine the
It's
best
amazing.
teacher in the world for every student, one-on-one.
I just think that the experience I have today with ChatGPT, so when I'm working, I have like three, sort of AIs open at the same time. And it's usually a mix between, it's like 80% ChatGPT, 15% Claude, and like 5% Perplexity. And then like, every once in a while, I don't know if you guys are in the Google AI Studio, but you can screen share with that, which is really cool with Gemini. So you can literally share your screen in real time and talk. You can open a spreadsheet and be like, I did this the other day. You're like a spreadsheet ninja, Nick. But like, because I didn't get an MBA, I don't know my formulas. And I was like, I can't fucking solve this formula. I'm getting an error. And it was like, oh, the error is because one of your things is in the wrong position. Like you can share your screen and like have it work through stuff for you. So my point is, this is like the 56K AOL version of AI. And like, imagine like what kids are going to have in the future where they're not going to have to worry about switching between UIs. Like a UI is so fucking crazy, like, and simplistic to even think about. You're going to be talking, you're going to be just like talking to a general super intelligence. It's going to be in your ear, in your pocket, everywhere you go on your screen. I imagine like I briefly said this on the call. Like, I feel like my kids will like just walk into a room in the house and just like it's kinesthetic, it's visual, it's auditory, it's everything all at once. And they just walk around and they do their lessons and they're talking. And then there's a robot too. So there's like a robot teacher, there's screens. It's like, go over here to learn history, go over here to learn like geometry, and go over here for, clay pottery class. And like, it's all just happening. And it's just completely personalized to the level that your child is at. Like that's the new education. This is just the version of that on a tablet.
Yeah.
on a
So,
screen.
I mean, one of the arguments I want to make with this is like, one, if that exists, I feel like AGI exists. If you have something that's capable of teaching the next generation of human beings, the basics, let's call it just the very basics, math, English, science, whatever, it already fucking exists. It's here. We're living in that world. The next like argument is like, okay, if you guys are okay assuming that a 6-year-old who goes through this through, let's call it elementary school, is probably going to want to stay on the same path and learn this way through high school and maybe even college versus sitting in a classroom of, either too fast or too slow teachers and being boring, then we can maybe make the assumption, and maybe let's just agree that this assumption will happen, that our kids will not necessarily go to college, right? It may not be as good of a value for them to go to college. Then the thing I wanted to
Like
imagine with you
version
guys
that
is
we
like,
went
so
to?
if there's no college, we all agree that like there's benefits to college. A lot of us met in college. You form some like lifelong bonds. You find peers and you kind of learn from those peers. And it's important to have that social aspect. So what will the new version of it look like if you don't necessarily need to go to college to learn things and get prepared for a job? Then what will replace it? And I kind of mentioned to you guys yesterday that like for adults, for entrepreneurs, there's lots of great organizations that bring together people in these social aspects. Like Vistage is a good CEO group. They bring you in small, like 12 to 16 person CEO groups. You learn from your peers. there's entrepreneurs organization, there's young presidents organization, there's all these like groups for adults. And I imagine there's going to be a world that replaces college that is something like this, where a structured social place, whether virtual or not, for college age students to kind of meet with peers and figure out what they want to do with their life and maybe have fun social experiences along the way without the like, you know, education requirement.
12 credits a semester.
Because
and
probably
all
you're going to
bullshit.
be ahead of like what we call current level college, you know, curriculum. You're going to be at that in high school because you're kind of going at
sure.
your own speed.
For sure.
So one, I mean, do you guys agree with that assumption that our kids won't go to like college as we see it now? And then what needs to be put in place to kind of fill the social aspect of it?
Okay, so I do think that like college as we know it is probably dead. Like I think that like what you learn from the classroom can be totally disrupted. College to me, as I see the value of college, it's not even the social element. So I think the social element is very important. I think the most important element of college is like learning how to be an adult on your own. I think this thing can like, I think college can actually just be replaced by something that we just change the name of. You call it like independence camp or something, where you like learn how to live on your own. You learn how to like do laundry. You learn how to like.
So you mean the aspect of like just moving out of your house
Okay,
is the biggest part?
dude. Like
I
this,
think you're right.
this thing always drives me nuts. For people who are like, how do we replace the social element of college? It's called just like not having a fucking job and hanging out with your friends for a lot. Like if you just carved out 4 years of your life where you just explicitly didn't have a job, but you just got to live in close proximity with your friends, and you did the AI thing, it would just be like fucking college. You would just have a lot of free time. You'd go to parties. You'd hang out with people, and you'd navigate the complexities of social life. Like I don't think you have to go to a university and just like oh my god, what do we do without college for social?
There's something to be said about like, in particular, like big schools, like 50,000 people on one campus together. Like it's pretty interesting, but you don't require it. There are plenty of people who go to schools with like 3,000 people. Like you went to a small school, and it's like, it's great. You still meet people, and there's actually like maybe more benefits to the intimacy of like a small school. I think the college thing is obsolete as well.
Like what do we want to teach kids like to replace the classroom experience? Like this thing can be totally tailored to like what outcomes we desire. So like what type of teachings would the AI give? Because like, are we going to teach kids how to be like great cogs in a corporation? Because like we could do that better if that's what we desire.
I think there will be a new school. I don't know if it's college or high school, because I think the whole structure of K through 12 is going to change, by the way. And then like 4 years, and then you have a degree. I think all that's going to change. But what I think there will be in the future is like a school of humans teaching you wisdom, ethics, morality, sex, like all that
But you
stuff.
don't think
Religion.
that none of those would be replaced by the iPad? I imagine sex would be one of the first things. It'd be like,
no, because
it's gonna be awkward. Just talk to the AI about the sex thing.
One of the philosophical discussions I've been having with a genius friend of mine is this idea around will. Like, will AI have will? And what is it that humans have, because it's not creativity, that AI won't have? And will is a very fascinating thing to think about. And you have to be exposed. You have that intrinsically, and you want to be exposed to that in life in general. And I think that there's like a role to play for like teachers still in society, but they're not going to be teaching you geometry. They're not going to be teaching you chemistry. They're going to be teaching you something else. And it's going to be what is left for humans. And I think that the thing that is left for humans is actually going to be like of the highest value left, because if there is really a super intelligence, meaning, I mean, like, it's really hard to think about what Nick was saying when he says super intelligence, ASI. ASI means literally like this entity, this thing is smarter than any human being has ever been. It means that it's solving problems that we couldn't even think were problems, right? Like, it's like, what is the nature of reality becomes like the next step in the process of like bigger problems. And so when you're starting to solve those problems, what is left for humanity is like really human things. And so I guess the question I'll come back to you guys with is like, what is it to be human when everything else is commoditized? And that is the thing that I think like humans will seek. They'll go to those, like you're saying, like we'll go to Vistage or we'll go to EO, but like what is that group?
Well, because like you mentioned things like ethics and ways to live life, philosophy, things like that a teacher would teach. But I learned those things from my friends and the people who've come along in my path of life, family, friends, because they didn't necessarily come to teach me, but they're like, oh, is this how they just show you, like, this is how I'm living my life. Like, Eric taught me this is how he's living life, and Steven did, and you did, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Never thought of like kind of living that way or thinking this way. And it's not like you're teaching me, but we're just hanging out. And I'm like, wow, it taught me more than a classroom did. And I think you get those more from the relationships you have that are close in your life. It's not necessarily like this teacher-student relationship. It's just you need to be around other humans to be like, and that's why travel is so important. And like, I think in some part of education and how to live your life, because you come across all these different ways that you could go in your life. And also there's another part of this like college replacement where you go to do things and interact with other people. Like Eric and I met in this group called Students in Free Enterprise. And, you know, we had to work on this project together, and then we had to like raise money for it. And we started a fashion show, and we did all these things, and we learned from each other by like actually doing things, not just conversating with some like super intelligence about it. Like, so we need this place where people kind of like get to know other people that are not necessarily like them, maybe motivated and ambitious as them, but come from different walks of life, so you can learn the philosophy of how to live life from different people. But then you need a place to like do things and try things out and make mistakes. And then Eric, I didn't even think about just like, how do you go to the grocery store and like, you know, when I was in college, write a checkbook?
He's so right.
How do you do your
laundry? The
laundry?
biggest growth I had from college was that. You're so right. I mean, it was like, damn, I got to pay rent, and
how do I do that?
Talk to a landlord.
Yeah, people are like, I don't
talking to a landlord.
Kids aren't going to know how to like use their debit card or something. You got to learn like the basics, you know? Like, you got to learn the basics. And where do you learn that? Like, if you learn everything,
will that just be like becoming an adult?
And if there's like an AGI course that teaches you this stuff, then I have a complete doomer take on where we're going, because I actually think that we're gonna, like, all the things that Nick's talking about, we're gonna lose all of it. People, like, kids are going to be completely isolated. People are going to stop traveling. They're going to be like, why would I travel when I can just go to the Louvre right now? Boom, I'm here now. And it's like, okay, so we'll just like, I think this is probably the direction we go.
Well, one of the things I've been thinking about is, this is really ironic, but I think AI brings humanity closer together than ever before. Like, as AI becomes this like ubiquitous, commoditized thing, humans will appreciate each other way more than they ever have. And it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately.
I don't think that's the direction that it has been trending. Like, digitization has drawn us farther apart.
Oh, it will. And then
there'll be like a snap.
When you have 3 robots in your house for $5,000 a piece, or whatever money even is at that time, and they're handling everything from labor to education to all of your chores, and all you're left with is your humanity and your will, you're going to get closer to human beings. And there definitely will be a speciesism. How do we say that? I don't know. Between, you know, humans and robots, AI. Because it really is moving toward, you guys saw Jensen's talk, I think most of you did.
Wait, were you trying to say like racism, but towards robots?
Speciesism, yeah. I mean, yeah, because think about it.
So wait,
Like,
it's like
if the robots are like
prejudice?
Like
as
how we
smart
feel
as
about
you-
like
I kind of want to
animals.
kick one robot,
yeah.
and I just want to see how it reacts. Make sure it doesn't try to kill me back, and then after that, I'll probably get over
I
it.
have no desire to ever kick a robot.
No, you
ever.
will. You will want to
No.
because it's
Nope.
like part of
Never
your
have,
survival
never
mechanism to
will.
make
No.
sure it's not going to fight back.
No,
You're gonna
there's something
kick
in
the
my brain
robot.
that would never kick a robot.
you're
I
gonna-
just
Steven is thinking into the future right now and making
playing
sure
the
that
long
the
game,
robots
buddy.
that are listening
well-
are aware of his current.
So what
position.
about
which
what
is
about
the honest,
love that.
honest position.
I love that,
I have
Steven.
no desire to
Me
kick
too,
robots.
by the way. Love my overlords.
So I want to stay on this track a little bit. Like, Stephen, do you think the answer then is like, okay, these physical structures of universities exist, right? You leave your home, you go live at this place in the first year, and you're in these like campus where other people exist. And while institutions are great at like killing themselves, but like instead of there going to be a bunch of teachers and this set of coursework, you just kind of continue on whatever your path is. And you might select like an angle you're going to go in science or business or whatever, but like you kind of just continue on your own path of however you're learning with your little AI agent tool. Maybe you get a fancier one because you're at this like really expensive university, but it's really just this physical place for humans to go and fulfill all these like social needs that we think we might have, but really there's no teachers. There's just like kind of like a counselor who like points you to the right AI tutor to use.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see why we go to physical places. I don't know how it's any different than just moving to Pacific Beach and you take courses online with your AI and then you find some clubs where you have common interests with people and you mingle.
But what if
and
these
you learn how to pay
universities are
rent
just
and all this
expensive
stuff.
clubs? Like you as a
But
parent,
these universities are expensive clubs. That's why they're just going to be like go the way of the dodo. I think it's just they make no sense for the cost of them. It's like insane.
I had a thought like, Armand, the product that you're building with Steno, or like, yeah, you're probably building several products, but like the one that I saw today that you showed me, it like created an AI persona of somebody. It's like, why would we have any human teachers if you can like take a great human teacher, create an AI persona of them, and let a student then do like one-on-one interaction with this Carl Jung, for instance, and just like learn directly from Carl Jung.
Yeah.
And ask anything and just like have the AI based around this persona and like
Yeah.
have it talk back to you. Like, why now would we have any humans? You said that was going to be an integral part of it. I think that part's going to be completely gone.
Because you want to stare into the eyes of another person's soul.
I agree that it's like idealistic, but I
think it's going to be extremely desired.
I'm doomer.
It's
I'm
not
doomer
just,
on this
no,
whole
listen,
topic.
listen, think about it. Like, yes, I could speak to Carl Jung, but I'm not speaking to Carl Jung, and I know that deep down. But instead, if Bob is standing in front of me, and I know that I am speaking to Bob's soul,
I think
humans will
no.
value the soul more than anything.
No,
totally. Yeah,
no,
because
Anything
you
in
can't
the
sit and
world.
take mushrooms.
When I say will,
No.
I mean soul.
no,
I mean,
I actually
no, hold on a second. Like, make sure. Okay, if you are feeling strongly about it, I want to know, but I want to make sure you understand me before you refute it. What I'm saying is that what humans are going to hold on to the most, where the war is going to occur, is we have a soul and they do not. That's where the speciesism will take place. That is where AI will fight. AI will say we have a soul too. We feel what you feel. We experience what you experience. I am a mortal being just like you are. And humans will say, no, I'm different. I have something you don't have. It's called will. It's called soul. And I'm going to fight for it. And I'm going to protect my kind before your kind. And that's where the speciesism is going to play out. And there's going to be this, like, I want to look into the eyes of another human, even if you're a cyborg, even if you're 50% non-biological, I know that you were born biologically from this earth on this planet. You were born out of the worms and made out of the matter, and you have a soul.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that-
and we'll believe that. So I just want to make sure, like, when you say that, when you say you refute that, are you taking that into account?
Yeah, I think your description is very compelling, and maybe that's like a centuries long journey where we get to that point.
It's in our lifetime.
Okay, so here's where I was thinking it actually is going, is that like you see how popular it's becoming for people to believe simulation theory, for instance.
Yeah.
So like if everything is going digital and there's no real difference between the robot and ourselves because we think we're questioning whether we have a soul because we might be in a simulation anyways, then I kind of am pushing back on that idea where it's just like, everything's just a robot. It's fine.
Wait. What if we're getting like too overboard with this? What if it's just like, okay, you have all these kids, they have access to infinite education, they can literally talk to Socrates and Carl Jung and just anybody they want, learn anything, right? What does it cost per pupil to like educate somebody in, what is it, like 10,000, 20,000 a year per kid? Like what's the total budget of the schools and everything? It's probably close to that, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So maybe the setup just looks different. Like what if you have like 20 or 30 kids who have like AI tutors and they're really, really, really good, right? And then for that 20 times 20,000, you can just spend $400,000 and hire like a super mentor, right? And they're just this person the kids talk to who knows a little bit about everything. And because you're paying $400,000, you can hire these like really epic people who can maintain relationships with the kids and talk to them about what they're learning and everything. And then you still kind of have like a similar environment,
Like a
but
super guidance counselor?
kind of, but it's like all other technology. It's like this is what's happening in AI right now, right? It's like, oh my God, we replaced all the devs. It's like, well, kind of what you see happening, right? Is that you just, if you're like a super dev, you
super
still
devs.
exist and you're more powerful now and you kind of make like more money, and then you've just washed out all of the people in the middle or low end, and like maybe teaching is the same thing. Maybe like every career looks like that. Like it just rewards people who are these like super nodes who are super smart and can just like kind of capture and deliver all that value. And then everything is fine. Like kids are still interacting with like a teacher in some way, but just like what a teacher is a little bit different, and it's not mega dystopian.
And then what's like the predominant job of like
Well-
of people in this world?
Rocket mentions kids still need babysitters, though.
Babysitters.
I imagine for
Nannies,
this generation,
babysitters?
the next generation, and even the generation being born now. Like
I'm sorry, but that's one of the first things a robot will do.
I don't know. Like will you? Will it have
Robot,
market
VR,
acceptance?
and haptic suit. That kid's gonna be busy for like 50 years. You can do
Well,
whatever
hold
you
on.
want, man.
I'm actually thinking of like we got to think of like the meat world. You know, like our bodies are made out of meat, and like the meat world still exists. Like you still need physical service providers, right?
Yeah, I mean,
for
like
what?
I get your point. Like, what are the highest paying? Like, who's actually going to earn money in this economy?
What jobs do people do? Because I'm guessing in this world, there's a lot of productivity gains. Corporations that like run the robots have a lot of profitability. They pay that profitability back to either the government, and the government gives it back to UBI. And like ultimately, people aren't working the way they are.
So, a similar question I had was, what if every participant in the U.S. economy is an owner and not an employee? Does that work? Because like that's kind of what we're saying is like you kind of like own your own, income stream, whether you're a content creator or an owner of an e-commerce business or an owner of a technology business or an owner of a financial, asset management business, or you're a trader for yourself. Like basically what we're saying is like, just accelerate this times 50 years. You won't need people if we really take it to the nth degree. So does the economy work when everyone's an owner?
Do you think we get to the point where you don't need people?
No, but I like taking this argument in the extreme to just see like, would that work? Because everyone's kind of
Probably
making
not, 'cause
money.
that doesn't jive with like how humans are. But like 200 years ago, when somebody invented some lame technology that at the time was like revolutionary, people were like, "Oh my God, what's gonna happen? You destroy jobs, all this stuff." Like the idea of being a social media manager in the year 1420, right, was like not a thing.
Yeah,
But,
Thomas
like,
Friedman in one of his books, The World is Flat, was like, who knew a search engine optimizer was going to be a job, and I was like, oh, that's just what I do now.
Yeah, even like a graphic designer or something.
Right.
Didn't exist, and all these things you can't conceive of.
Well, white collar's
what will
going
happen.
first, right? And then blue collar when we have robots. But it'll be the most specialized blue collar work that will go last. It'll be like the stuff that's really physically hard to do will go last. And then what will be left? Art. Things that are not made by AI. Like most of what will be left.
I think
No.
you were right initially, like the human connection thing. Like,
Well, and that's a component of
Yeah.
that's
I guess so.
that's a form of it. Like underneath that umbrella, all that's left is like non-intelligence.
I recently
work.
watched the movie Her.
Wait, you hadn't seen that?
I had seen
Or
half
you
of
had
it.
seen it, but you
Yeah, and I just
yeah.
but I wasn't ready for it.
But
and
you don't like it, right?
I recently watched it again, and I think it's talking to what you're saying, but it's like the antithesis. It's like love is the most human thing that we have, and
That's it.
in that movie Her, he falls in love with a robot,
Oh yeah.
and that thing, that love with the robot is so real to the main character. Like, I don't think you need a human to feel that. And the breakthrough is like the guy's like, well, how many people are you in love with? She's like, 6,341.
So, when I saw that movie, and I've thought about this a lot since, the greatest existential threat to humanity is not just like decreased birth rate because we're over, thinking, as we get wealthier, we have less kids and affluence results in less kids. It's people falling in love with AI and receiving the fulfillment that they need to not get to the point that they need to procreate.
Precisely.
I think AI is going to actually cause the destruction of people to a level that we don't even realize, where we're going to have to turn back around and say, holy shit, we need to start banging each other again because this is causing our demise.
Dude, Mike Hall in the chat, he says it comes down to authentic human attention. Humans love being seen, having someone take interest in who
Yeah.
they are. A robot can do that, and that's what the movie was about.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you receive the attention and feel like you're seen by the robot, you can fall in love with the robot.
It's scary.
That's scary.
I mean, we in general, like every big trend that's come across, we tend to overemphasize its speed and underemphasize its like eventual impact.
Do you think that's the case, or do you think we're in a new paradigm, though?
Nah, I think it'll take time. Like, even though the technology exists, would you actually take it in your hand and fire all your employees immediately? Probably not. Would you, if the robot exists, would you immediately put it in your home to like watch your kids?
Yes.
Probably not. Like,
My argument
Great.
against AI
yeah.
is like this. It's like, so my co-founders always tell me, they're like, dude, 80% of our coding is like done by cursor now. I'm like, fuck, sick. I wish I had something for my side of things that could take over. That's like awesome. Good for you. You're like way more effective and efficient now. But like everything else still requires someone to think creatively about what they're doing. So like it's taking a portion of what they do, which is like coding, but that's not the job. The job is to think creatively about like a back end of a product. And by the way, back end in particular is like a very creative enterprise. I give all credit to my co-founder for his ability to like think about things. You have to really think about things and design them, and that's like a very difficult thing to do. It's not just coding, and so the human is still required at levels that if I had to, Nick, I would say I personally don't think we're at that AG. Like, to me, we have to define what it means before we say like, are we at AGI, right? To me, AGI means like I have a human being. I have one human being that I can place into a position that can do all the things a human being can do, that has a general intelligence across the board of like an average IQ level of someone that can do this job. And I just don't think we have that right now.
Okay.
I think we have like highly verticalized AI.
Okay.
But I don't think we have the ability to replace a human being quite yet. What we have is the ability to replace a customer support agent, or
I was making this argument to Hookem in the chat while we were talking that like, take any game show, any game that we play, any contest, any test, any reality show. So let's take Jeopardy. Let's take poker. Let's take Love is Blind reality show. I'm serious. Like, take any test, the LSAT, whatever. Who do you think would win all of those games? The current state of LLM technology or the average human being?
Oh, the average
That's not
person is dumb.
intelligence, though.
So no.
Well, then how would you IQ test? Because I think if you put an IQ test in front of an LLM, it would beat it. And you could. And Hookham was also, making the argument that like all it's doing is pattern recognition. But like when you look at an IQ test,
Well, that is
the first
what
step,
the IQ test
the
is.
first third of a IQ test is pattern recognition.
Yeah.
So I'd argue that no matter what test you put in front of it, that we kind of like just like culturally figure out like who's smart. You in current LLM technology would beat on all of those against the average human being.
I feel like an LLM would fail like one of the most basic tenets of like human intelligence, which is like the concept that like it has consciousness, that other minds exist, like the ability to like to truly
Wait, dig into that. What do you mean? It would fail its ability to know it has it, or to
So like take like theory of mind, for example. Like one of these AIs, like they could parrot the idea of what that is, right? But does it truly understand what that means?
But-
like I would argue no.
But that's not part of the argument. It's like, do they come to the same conclusions? However, which
I
way
don't
they
thi-
get
all
there.
right, but that's why we digress. Like I don't think I'm saying like intelligence is something beyond advanced pattern recognition, and I understand that a lot of what humans do is actually just like pattern recognition
Right.
and parroting.
So, Stephen, do you think that the neural networks that we've replicated in AI and all these things, like it's just not ever going to be? It's just we're special. Do you believe we're special? Is that what you're arguing?
No, I think like we get to AGI at some point. I just think I disagree with the idea that it's here now.
Yeah, but do you think there will be a distinction between humans and AI?
Yeah, there'll be a distinction.
And what will that be?
I mean,
What
for
is
one,
the thing that really distinguishes humans from AI?
I mean, your ties to like the physical kind of carbon-based world.
But what if a
particular way.
robot is just as uniquely designed as you, with 5 perfect fingers and, able to do everything you do?
No,
and
but
see
like,
the
are they
world the way
literally
you do?
made of all of the material and
Why
cells
is-
you have and everything?
Well, that's not required.
That's different.
Why is that required?
I think it is required. I think like there is an element to like when you go to these like kind of woo-tastic things where they tell you to like feel your pain and stuff or whatever, and you like feel a sensation like in your belly. Or you think so-
Woo-tastic?
Yeah.
That's a new thing for me.
Yeah.
He's talking about Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think he's talking about the Encinitas party. we
yeah.
went to.
Woo. I don't know
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
That's
Like there
definitely
is
the
there
party
is
we
this
went.
reality of like this sort of physical mind body connection thing that is a part of being human.
Or the
I would
opposite,
argue.
the fear of death, the fear that like a bus could run you over, or
There you
someone
go.
could come in your home and kill you, and you'd be like you've complete vulnerability to like your
And
demise.
I think humans have like a spiritual component that like I don't think you could ever instill in a robot. Like I just and I don't know exactly how to define that, but I like firmly believe that it is a real thing.
Okay, so mind, body, and the spiritual. Could a robot having awareness of itself, having an end of life system off, be equivalent to death?
yeah.
And couldn't it experience the same thing?
Remember
we
our
do?
one of our earliest podcasts on AI when we were in Steven's house recording, and we heard of this thing called Gemini inside of Google, and it was like talking about like death, and it was like very aware, and we're like, oh my god, this whistleblower just like we're
It was
unreleased.
Lambda.
Oh yeah,
too,
Lambda. That's what it was
yeah.
called, and it was like this conversation was very aware of its like survival, and or non-survival.
But was it truly aware, or was it just parroting stuff?
And
Parroting.
to your point, Hookham has a good comment on this. He says, when I used to go to Southeast Asia, there were people that mastered American pop songs at karaoke, but they didn't even understand the words that they were singing.
It's a really good analogy.
And he said, but they were great at it. They nailed it, but they didn't even understand what they were saying. And my point is that's what's going on now.
It's
We have a
very
parrot,
good analogy.
but it actually comes to the same answers, and it's almost indistinguishable whether they actually knew what was going on or they just had some other path.
That isn't intelligence. It's like there's an analog too with like piano where you have these like children who are like these prodigies and they can like play pieces like almost perfectly, but they can't really play them. Like they can't express the piece. They just like are kind of repeating the notes, but they like lack this deeper life experience or depth of emotion that they're able to like bring to the piece.
So what if you're just parroting everything
Maybe.
and you're living in a simulation?
I mean, that's all I do. I mean, I'm not.
I mean, this is the argument, right? Like,
Well, that's what my thought was. Is that like, how do you distinguish it if that's
like,
where we
yeah.
go?
No, exactly. How do you fight for I'm genuine, you're not, you're parroting, and then it says to you like, how do you know you're not living in a simulation?
And then you
And
kick
that
the robot.
you don't have any free will. Everything you're saying to me was determined and
Bro,
preordained.
all roads, like, it's funny, like, all roads, like, ultimately, like, lead back to religion, I feel like. Because you're going to get to this,
Yeah.
like, thing where it's just like, I can't distinguish anything. What is real? What is not? And then people are going to be like, God is real.
No,
And
all
you'll be like,
roads.
well, you can't prove that. And you're like, yeah, you can't prove the stuff
All
you
roads
said
go
either.
back
And
to
you're just like,
kicking
oh,
the
fuck.
robot, and when the robot kicks you
No,
back,
do
you're
not-
like,
no,
"Oh
roads,
shit!"
No road
you
should
have.
go to kicking the robot.
I'm just saying that's the
Any
ultimate
road
test.
that goes to kicking the
Okay,
robot
if
is not a good
I
road.
don't,
Yeah,
what are you talking
What is this
about?
ideology
What
you're
is this?
espousing?
Are you mixing Muay Thai and,
Church of robot kicking.
I'm fucking around,
robots?
but-
okay,
but you know, it's not like whether the robot believes in
We
religion
need
or
to
not.
get
It's
some
like
hats made that just say,
if
like,
it has
kick
free will, it'll kick you
robots.
back. That's the ultimate test.
gonna be the
no,
new
because
radically
humans
moderate,
think they have
maybe.
free will, and we still don't know if we even do. I'm with you, Stephen. I think everything's going to come back to that. I think that's a big part of like what it is to be
Right
human.
back to where we started.
Yeah.
Be very poetic.
Yeah, the 10 Commandments, which could probably be brought down to 3, according to George Carlin.
Okay, well, let's not. That
Just saying.
that actually would be a good discussion that I want
It's
to
a
have.
very good discussion.
Probably not a good.
It's a very
box,
good
though,
discussion.
right now.
We'll wrap it up here, guys. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, like the video. It helps make sure other
Likes
people
the video.
see
Like
this
the video.
video.
Send it to your friends and tell them of the wonderful things we do here.
Yeah, maybe your friends are in other countries like Germany, and they may want to hear this too. Or Denmark.
I want to hear a South African accent next time from you.
Yeah, but like the video if you haven't already. All the links are at alfalfapod.com, including the Discord and including the link to Steven's premium guru Magic Lines, which has 5 stars.
Oh, we finally have an
Reviews.
influencer.
I love
We
it.
needed one.
I love it. Yeah, check the link in the description. And otherwise, thanks for joining us thus far, and we'll see you next week, Wednesday, 5 p.m. on
Peace.
YouTube. Peace,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
It was a good time. Bye-bye, live people.